Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking sports locally and nationally. Join the conversation on our social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome back to another edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. I'm your host, Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, it's Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
And returning to the studio, as always, it is your coach. It is my coach. It is the coach, Coach Duffy.
Yeah, sorry I was running behind, guys. I had to take some selfies with the fans.
I thought you might have been filling out your application or completing your resume for a potential Giants head coaching job.
No, because if the rumors are swirling that are true, I'm sitting happy ducky right now.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to sit there and practice your clapping.
Yeah.
That's
Please
one thing.
clap.
That's the one thing you have to work on. What are you asking about the clapping? Stay tuned and find out. But definitely join in the conversation on OchoDuroParlayHour.com. You can find all the links to our social media accounts and use the hashtag ODPH because we have a lot to talk in the land of sports about. And you know we kick it off with our locks and leaps during the NFL season. So, Pad, why don't you break it down?
Boy, you know what? I'll start off. I almost cursed another fan base. Holy sugar cookies. Chose the New Orleans Saints to defeat the Carolina Panthers because I'm looking at it going, you know what? It's the Saints. It's in the Dome. It's against the Panthers and Kyle Allen. And let's be honest, the Panthers aren't looking that good. And Carolina decided to make a game out of this. Final score ended up being 34-31. Kyle Allen, 23 of 36 for 256 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Drew Brees, 30 of 39 for 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
This game was a roller coaster ride from start to finish. Coach.
I left work, side story. I left work and was checking the game because, hey, it was my lock. I wanted to see how it goes. And I forget what the score was, but it was one that I'm looking like, all right, you know, it's the Saints. They got this in hand. Got home, made myself a snack and popped on, you know, whatever game was on locally. I forget which. And I looked at the score and, oh, my God, what happened? It was tied.
Yeah, Coach, when you saw the score of this game, did you really think it was going to be this close?
No, I mean, I was really shocked. Like, I thought Carolina was kind of defensively, they're still there. Like,
Yeah,
they're
sure,
pretty good defense.
sure.
But offensively, I thought they were so inept. I mean, Kyle Allen had kind of started to see some wrinkles, you know, as far as his ability to play at an elite level for, you know, duration of time. He, you know, last 2 games, he did not looked very good. So I definitely thought the rust was starting to shine on him, and I thought that New Orleans was going to jump on this and just take full advantage of it. But, you know, lo and behold, all of a sudden Kyle Allen bust out the rust sheen, and now he comes out shining like a new car here. I mean, he looked great.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns. You can't complain about that. You know, my biggest gripe with Carolina was that, you know, they still tried to get McCaffrey touches, but, I mean, only 64 yards on the ground. I know New Orleans, you know, run defense has been vastly improved from what it was, you know, last year, but it's like you got to get him in open space more. And then New Orleans, it's like, what? Week to week to week to week. I mean, it's like the NFC South has just become this week of like, you know, who are they or what are they?
Who's
like,
got the hot hand?
Yeah, like whoever's like dealing the best hand right now is going to be winning games. And, you know, you would think that New Orleans, after the last week, you know, the whooping that they put on Tampa Bay, you would have thought they would have came out and played a little more consistent at home.
Yeah.
But it's like apparently when they go back home, they're too busy on Bourbon Street because they are just falling to pieces at home.
I mean, listen, as one who has been to Bourbon Street, I can understand them falling to pieces. It is a fun place.
Well, that's the thing, though, is like, you know, New Orleans at home, it was like, oh, you can't go to the Superdome and play. I mean, oh boy, like you're gonna go down there, the fan base, they're gonna get rowdy. You know, you can't hear anything, you're in trouble. And now it's like the last 2 weeks. Well, obviously not the last 2 weeks, but the week before last week, and now this week, you know, teams have gone into the Superdome and taken it to them.
No, yeah, it's one of those things that, like, you just looking at the box score, you can see, you know, the Saints were definitely looking to prevent the run because, like you mentioned, 64 yards rushing from Christian McCaffrey on 22 carries. So they were trying to feed him the ball all darn day long, but New Orleans was just expecting it. Flip the coin, and you look at receiving. Secondary needs to start looking for some stuff, or they need to start focusing on their pass defense a little bit more because DJ Moore, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns on 6 catches.
Slightly ridiculous, to say the least.
A little bit.
But this goes to show what Coach touched upon. The NFC South is the land of uncertainty. Because trying to define who a team is there.
What are they?
Who are they?
What are they?
Exactly. You can't. And we figured, okay, the Saints would be the creme de la creme of this division.
Yeah.
And statistically, they are. But when they are showing weaknesses in their armor, such as we saw, and Carolina, give credit to where credit is due, as Coach touched upon, their defense is still the same defense Carolina is going to bring every week.
Oh, yeah.
But when Kyle Allen is lighting you up for 256, you kind of have to really question, are we ready for the playoffs?
I mean, if I'm New Orleans, I'm definitely worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, especially you look at, they got San Francisco coming up here in a couple weeks, and then after that game, they have the Colts on Monday Night Football. So it's not like they got a slouch schedule here at the end of the season.
Or I'm asking for a road game.
Yeah.
Because whatever the mystique of the Superdome, it appears to be fading. And that is so weird to say, because when you think about stadiums and certain teams, when you go to their home turf, it's virtually a lock that they're not going to lose.
Well, I mean, the only thing I can kind of equate it to is, at least in terms of sound, and, okay, yes, Seattle, 12th man, but what's the one thing you hear in the NBA? Oklahoma City, and how loud it is, and just how vocal it is. You haven't really heard that the last few years that they've been in the playoffs and made that. So, maybe it's something akin to that. The team's there, but they're just not performing as well, and the fans aren't really getting that amped up for what's going on in the field.
Well, I don't know necessarily if that's the case. I think just with the team in general, since Breeze is back, it should be business as usual, and they should be
barn burners,
lighting up teams left and right.
They should be. I mean, this shouldn't even have been with the way that Carolina had played going into this game. And I mean, Christian McCaffrey, obviously is probably the best, and most talented running back in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a weapon that you have to deal with. But, I mean, when you look at the body of work that Kyle Allen had put in going into this week, New Orleans defense should have been able to jump all over this team at home and just spank them by a minimum of 21 points.
Right, and you look at this New Orleans team, okay, they're 9-2. Their 2 losses are the fluke loss they had against the Falcons a couple weeks ago, and then the week 2 loss where Drew Brees went out after playing all of 30 seconds. So you take that out, they're 9-0 essentially.
Yeah, you would think that they would be undefeated at this point. You have to kind of assume that would be the case. But from what we've seen, that defense is getting very suspect. The offense is looking okay.
Yeah.
The offense, even with Breeze back in that lineup, they don't look like they've really lost that much of a step. You have Kamara, he's putting up numbers. Murray is actually having a little bit of a renaissance lately for the running game. Michael Thomas, you gave him all that money, he's definitely earning it. 101 yards and a touchdown. So the offensive side is putting up points. It's just the defense is showing some, like I said, cracks in the armor. And especially this game, Carolina should have won.
Oh, yeah.
But it comes down to kicking.
I'll say, because if memory serves, the line on this game was something like 10 or 14 points.
It was high at one point. It got down to 5.5.
Yeah.
But either way, Carolina should have won this game because they did outplay them.
Yeah.
The Saints got lucky, and especially when they got the ball back after that missed field goal, Drew Brees proved why he's one of the best doing it.
Yeah, you know that he's not going to succeed in the under 2 minutes. It's just not happening.
Yeah, you gave him way too much time, and he just drove right down the field, set up legs for the kick, and it's say no more. So for the Saints, got to get back on the winning track, and this was a good way to get going.
Yeah.
But you got to be more consistent on the defensive side of the ball if you're going to make a deep run in the playoffs. Carolina, you have to think the season is done for them as far as playoffs are going to go.
Yeah.
It's not looking good. I mean, they could make a run. They just have to run the table, which is not unheard of, but highly unlikely.
It's not unheard of, but, like you said, things aren't looking good. As we record, they are currently 5-6 and tied with both the Eagles and Bears record-wise, and they're sitting in the 10th playoff spot.
And the Eagles did not help their own case, too, especially dropping one at home in a very ugly game for them.
Yeah.
And this was your leap as well, Pat.
Yep, so I took the Seattle Seahawks to win when they were not favored. They were underdogs going into this game. Final scored 17-9. Russell Wilson, 13 of 25 for 200 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Carson Wentz, 33 of 45 for 256 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions.
Coach, your thoughts on this?
First off, the NFC East is a wreck.
Is the worst division
it's
in football.
It's terrible. I mean, they shouldn't even allow the winner of the division to make the playoffs.
So the current division leader has a win percentage of .545.
I mean, the whole Philly thing, this team also doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, defensively, they're not great. They're playing better. But they're just, it's very, very obvious that this team does not play well with Carson Wentz at the helm.
No.
I mean, it's just, you can't deny it. Like, there's too much just there it's too much there. Like there's too many instances where it's just like guys have clearly given up on a play that he's still trying to scramble and make a play on. And I don't know if it's a locker room issue or if they just don't like his personality or they were Foles guys and they opted for Wentz. But, it's just like it's very clear that there is a division in that locker room of, guys that wanted to play for Wentz and guys who didn't want to play with Wentz. And I think it's a majority that they didn't want to play with Wentz.
I mean, it's definitely a weird thing because, you look at the stats. Russell Wilson got sacked 6 times yesterday, from the Eagles defense. And then on the flip side, the Seahawks only ran 57 total plays and had the ball for just over 28 minutes. So you're looking at this going, okay, Eagles had more plays, more time of possession, should have won this game, but they didn't.
They didn't do enough on offense to really move the chains. They were moving, but not enough to really make a dent into the Seattle defense, who played lights out. They played great.
Oh, so that's the thing, though. I'm looking at this now. Eagles 23 first downs to Seattle's 14.
Yeah, and
Philly was hurt too. I mean, they had a few wide receivers out on injury, so that certainly doesn't help you going against that Seattle defense.
Ooh, I think I found the glaring issue with the Eagles there. 5 turnovers, 3 fumbles, and 2 interceptions.
That certainly doesn't help.
No, it didn't. And you give Russell Wilson and company that much opportunity.
And this is with the Seahawks committing 12 penalties.
Yeah, it was
12 accepted penalties.
Like I said, this game was nothing really to write home about per se. Just Seattle went in there and did their job, and they looked great when they were really moving the ball. I mean, the running game was right on point.
Oh, yeah.
You could not take anything away from them on that standpoint. That they really established the run. I mean, Rashad Penny had 129 and a touchdown. Carson was a good, change of pace back, but only 26 yards. But when they're running the ball right down Philly's throat, and Philly has no answer when Wentz gets back on the field, it's going to be a long day. And for Wilson, I mean, he was the one who was doing the flea flicker play that almost got it put in for a touchdown shortly after it did.
Right.
When you know a team is doing well is when they're pulling stuff like that out of the playbook. And for Philly, they went, one field goal in the first quarter, and then there was nothing until the fourth?
You can't have that.
Yeah.
When your offense is that anemic, you're not going to win games. It was kind of like a role reversal when they faced the Bills because they were running the ball down the Bills' throat. The Bills couldn't score. Now, all of a sudden, we flip it to Seattle, and yet it's like the role reversal. It takes full place.
It's definitely a win that Philly needed because, you look at the standings. They're currently in second place to the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas is 6-5. Philly's 5-6. Definitely needed this win, especially when you look at Philly's schedule at the end of the year. Okay, they got Miami next week. Then they've got 2 games against the Giants, a game against the Redskins, and a game against Dallas. So out of their remaining 5-6 games left in the season, all but one of them are division.
With 2 teams sitting at 2-8, and every team in the NFC East could still win the division right now.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
That the 2 teams at 2-8 could still miraculously pull out a run, finish 7-9, and win the division. It's that bad.
It is that bad, and there's nothing really to say other than Philly, if they're going to make a run in the playoffs, have to answer a lot of questions.
I mean, there won't be a run in the playoffs.
No, I don't think they make it at this point.
That NFC West though.
That NFC West,
that is quite the division.
Is a whole other ballgame, which Seattle, it's hard to say that after how they've been 9-2 that they are the second best team in that division, but
isn't that crazy?
It's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, between them and San Francisco, who put on a clinic Sunday night.
Whooping.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Whooping, man.
We knew that was going to be the game of the week, and I don't think Baltimore and Los Angeles are going to be as good tonight per se. Like I said, I think the Ravens are going to definitely do their job and get the win. But for that game last night for Seattle, this was so important to maintain a win because San Francisco is a game up on them. And it's not.
Yeah, Seattle definitely needed this win, especially when you've got San Francisco running like they're a sprinter in a marathon who's been training for this all their life, and you can't afford to even have a misstep or a stumble or step off a curb wrong.
Mm-hmm. And this is going to come back to haunt them if they decide to have a miscue. But Seattle definitely did the right thing. They're in the toughest division in football.
Uh-huh.
We flipped the coin to the weakest division in football. That's where I took my leap. That's where I had a little faith going on for the coach.
Told you.
I was like, maybe this is going to turn around because I have no faith in Mitchell Trubisky.
Told you.
And they announced.
I said it was bad.
It was announced on Saturday that Mitchell Trubisky was going to be playing the game for the Giant, or not the Giants, excuse me, the Bears on Sunday, and the collective internet went, "Oh, that's not good for the Bears."
No, it wasn't. And the Giants should have had this game, but they didn't. 19-14, they took the L. Pat, you got those stats?
Yep, Daniel Jones, 21 of 36 for 150 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Mitchell Trubisky, 25 of 41 for 278 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions.
Coach, I need your take on this.
I mean, I've yelled, I've ranted, I've raved, I've lost my voice, I've lost my...
Built a shrine, destroyed it.
I've broken my heart too many times, and it doesn't go anywhere. So I'll just say this, that, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Schumer is a coordinator at best.
Mm-hmm.
He is absolutely getting... I mean, when Matt Nagy comes out and out-coaches you, when he calls a timeout on a 2-point conversion midway through the third quarter because they weren't lined up right, you know you're in trouble when that guy out-coaches you.
Yeah.
Listen, and I'm on the camp only because I want to see him succeed. You got to trade Saquon Barkley. It is not fair to this young man that he is put in this position, because at least when Barry Sanders played in Detroit, they had at least the ability to get him the ball in space and let him be successful. And, you know, he was on bad teams, but they still at least had an offensive line that could block. This team is incapable of blocking immovable objects that don't move. I mean, they can't even block a barn, you know, collectively. I wonder how they practice with the blocking dummy or the sled at practice. They probably can't even move the thing. It's embarrassing. Defensively, you know, they played good. Like, I like, you know, Julian Love got in the game. Look what Julian Love did. He got an interception.
So you held the Bears to just 3 points at halftime. That's, you know, I realize it's the Bears and it's Mitchell Trubisky, but still.
Right,
like,
well, the way that they were Swiss cheese every week before that.
Right, I mean, you look at the Giants who going into this game are 2-8, like holding the Bears to 3 points at halftime. That's a good look.
Now, obviously the rumor out there that if Jason Garrett gets let go by the Cowboys, that there's a possibility if the Giants fire Schumer, that this is a realistic thing that, you know, they're going to pick up Garrett. I'm all for that. You Giants fans out there that, you know, all rag on Garrett. Listen, this man, while he's been the coach of Dallas, has led the team to the playoffs, I believe, every year, but maybe like 2. And you don't want that as your head coach? You're nuts.
Yeah.
Like, please, at this point, I will take anybody with success. You know, and if he brings Kellen Moore over to be the coordinator, I would love that, because the work that Kellen Moore has done with Dak Prescott, I mean, you watched it in the Patriot game. Dak looked very, very good.
Dak looked real good.
I mean, he's not great, but he looks good.
He's
You know,
serviceable.
he's serviceable. And I think that if you get him around, you know, Daniel Jones, that there is the potential that the two of them, you know, might be able to build a relationship, and then Kellen Moore might even be able to get a head coaching job, because he'll be that next hot young coordinator like a McVay and the guy in Cincinnati who left, you know, that they're young coaches that these guys want to covet. So it's just, you know, we got what, 6 more weeks left of this?
Something like that.
6 more weeks.
I mean, if the Giants need any work, it's definitely on certain aspects of the offensive side of the ball. You know, the glaring thing, like looking at the team stats for the game yesterday, that's just like smacking me in the face here. 1 of 12 on third down.
I mean,
you can't convert once on third down and expect to win a game.
I was cheering for Washington so much in their game, because I was like, if they can win this game and go to 2-8 and sit there tied with the Giants in this draft order, I will be so stoked, because I mean, if Haskins looks like he's going to be the guy for Washington, which I don't see them going out and drafting a quarterback if they are the top end of the draft, so that, you know, they would be after Chase Young. This guy's got, I mean, I was forced to watch this Ohio State game on Saturday, and I mean, this kid is electric. I mean, I put it on a Giants message board, and people didn't really get that I was joking, but I said, put 92 on Chase Young and watch him have a Hall of Fame career, because this kid is going to be the real deal.
That's a bold statement.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying actually give him the number.
No, but the comparison.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is going to be a playmaker, and especially when you put him in a defense where they can scheme him right, because he can do it standing up. He can do it in 2-3-point stance. He can do it in a 4-point stance. You can put him at defensive tackle and let him rush that way. You can put him at the end and let him rush. You can put him at linebacker and let him rush. This guy has a nose for the football that, you see these teams. Look at all the things that these good teams have in common. San Francisco, New England, Chicago in the beginning of the year. What do they all have as far as common denominators?
Great defense.
Good pass rushing. And that's what wins games. Your pass rush has to be able to get after the quarterback with your front four and not have to blitz all the time. And when you have a team that blitzes all the time, that's when you expose your defensive backs, which, let's face it, in the NFL have not been elite for the last few years. There's way more Betheas than there are Wilson Chandlers in the Chandler and
Chandler Jones.
No. I'm thinking the Chandler, the safety from Seattle, that's now in Baltimore. Cam Chandler. There's way less of them than there are of Betheas, meaning bad defensive backs. So when you leave them exposed because you have to blitz 4 or 5 guys, 3 or 4 to rush, to get the quarterback, you're exposed. And that's what happens every week with the Giants. They blitz everybody, and then boom, Mitchell Trubisky looks like a friggin' Hall of Fame quarterback having, 276 yards and slinging the ball all over the place.
I'll say blitzing every down only works in Madden.
Yeah,
and even that isn't all the time.
And even then, it doesn't even work all the time. I mean, look at New England. I mean, as smart as Belichick is, he doesn't. They'll send 3, and they won't blitz all the time, and they'll drop guys back. And look what the success was to beat New England in the Super Bowl. The Giants only needed to rush their front 4.
Yeah,
it was Strahan, it was Tuck, it was Osi Umenyiora, it was all those guys just getting after the quarterback and making plays. And that's not even getting to the offensive side of the ball, where you have arguably the second best running back to Christian McCaffrey, and he's rushing for pennies on the dime.
59 yards.
59 freaking yards.
On 17 touches.
And the week before that against the Jets, he's rushing for -1? Come on. And if his ankle's hurt, don't play him.
Yeah,
don't freaking play him.
118 attempts on 461 yards for the year.
Oh.
So I guess the question now for the Giants is, how soon do we go into the rebuild mode?
You're already in it. You had to be in it last year.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, first off, I mean the trade. Let's go back to the offseason when you trade Odell Beckham and you choose, Odell over Eli Manning for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. That's what caused all of this. You have no weapons.
No, you. I think once they benched Eli and put in Daniel Jones, you already had like that 1 foot in the door of a rebuild. Like, all right, we're going to start rebuilding, but we got to see where we're going from here. You've got to rebuild the rebuild because Daniel Jones is showing, I know Giants fans were excited and amped up and, bright ray of sunshine, but like the clouds have rolled in.
I'm just saying, like, you trade Odell and you have no weapons offensively, so what do? You have nothing. You can't let a young quarterback not have a weapon offensively and expect success.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They need to go full rebuild in this one, which you said they've already started. But no, they have to go full. And I don't think they should trade Barkley. I don't, especially if you have Jason Garrett coming in.
No, I'm not saying trade Barkley in the sense that you need to trade him so you can get more pieces.
Yeah.
I'm saying trade him because I don't see any commitment to him for him to be successful. Well, and that's what I mean.
Well, I think when you get Garrett in there, because I think if all intents and purposes...
These are ifs right now.
Well, no, it's ifs, but I think either way, Schumer's gone at the end of the season. I don't think he's 6th round.
Oh, yeah, no, there's
I don't
no
know.
way.
The report came out today from, it wasn't the Fox guy, it was somebody else, that said that as of right now, the Giants don't have Mara on the hot seat. Now, this is only week 10 or week 11.
This is week 12.
Week 12.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
a lot of things can change between now and then. But you got to face it here. Daniel Jones, their number one task with this year with Schumer was make Daniel Jones be successful. And when you have a guy who is statistically on pace to set a rookie record that only Fran Tarkenton and Deshaun Watson have set before, that's successful, unfortunately.
It's going to be a really interesting question for the Giants.
And I said I wasn't going to rant. I went off. I couldn't even help it.
This is why I picked it, because last week we didn't have a Coach Duffy Giant rants. I need this. I
literally was like, you know what? I'm not even. I said it. I'm not going to rant. And then here I go. It just came right off the tongue. I mean, it's a mess. It's unfortunate and it's frustrating because Saquon Barkley should be electric. We should all be when he gets the ball in his hands. We should all be collectively grasping straws and being,
Yeah, you should be seeing the highlights on every sports show in the country.
yeah. I mean, just think back to that first preseason game when he jumped over somebody in the middle of a pile. I mean, that was amazing, and we haven't gotten those. Now, listen, I mean, there is some rumors and some circulation that ankle issue is lingering, and it is a lot worse than what was let on. But that's why I'm saying if it's inhibiting him from being the player that he really needs to be, then don't play him.
And they should deactivate him because you have to think long term. No matter what's going to happen in the coaching situation.
And staying with Sterling Shepard, the fact that the man has had 2 concussions this year and he's still playing is irresponsible.
Yeah, it's very irresponsible. I fully agree with you on that.
30 catches on 282 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't have a guy out there that has had 2 concussions within, 3, 4, 5 weeks of each other. That's
something like
stupid.
that. Yeah, 2 concussions that close together, and when he's not exactly your number one offensive production, and all right, listen, he's had 2 concussions. We don't want to risk a third one. Take the rest.
Yeah, I mean, that's what ruined. Now his name's escaping me. The slot receiver that the Giants had in the Super Bowl against the first Super Bowl against the Patriots. I mean, that ruined his career because he had
David Tyree?
No, that was a tight end. Victor Cruz.
No, not Victor Cruz. I'm not going to remember him. No, it was a slot receiver. But his career was ended because he had back-to-back concussions that, the Giants end up releasing him. He signs with Philly, and he gets another concussion during training camp, and he retires.
I mean, look at Austin Collie.
I was thinking it was Steve Smith, but it's not him.
Austin Collie, when he was with the Colts, really athletic
guy,
barn burner, and then 3 concussions, and out of the league.
Yeah, so now you're sitting here like with 12 weeks to go in a 2-8 season. It's like you really want to risk a third for no reason?
Yeah.
Keep this guy out, let him practice, and keep his head straight. Literally.
Yeah. No, and that's what they need. They need to do. The Giants just need to do a complete overhaul and really get their priorities in check. Because if this continues, they're not going to get out of anywhere. No way they're going to be talking playoffs for a couple seasons. And I know right now it's sitting on the outside looking in. You have some pieces that you can start building, but you need the right head of the ship to do it.
Exactly.
And they don't have that right now.
No, they don't.
So it's going to have to come to the offseason to figure out, okay, are we going to stay in this direction, or do we need to do something drastic? I think the feeling is you have to do something drastic, because if you're wasting away Saquon Barkley's greatest years, and where he's the fresh runner and he's got all the energy that he can bring to the team, you have to do something.
Yeah, I mean, think about shelf life of a running back.
And you say that the reports now are, that he's not on the hot seat. They got a Monday Night Football game coming up against the Eagles in Philly.
Ugh.
And then you've got the game after that against Miami and Washington. And then you got Philly to close out the year. I think you look at that stretch of things and just how it plays out with the New York media. I think that's when you really start to find out if he's on the hot seat.
The only hopeful thing is if they get blown out on Monday night and just embarrassed, that will be the only thing that could, that would help get Schumer out the door. And I mean, I'm not just wishing ill will. I'm just saying, Matt Nagy, for as good as he was last year, has been abysmal as a head coach this year. I mean, literally mental mistakes out the wazoo, calling timeouts on 2-point conversions, pulling Trubinsky, saying that he has a hip pointer, even though he looked fine, warming up. I mean, they were warming up Chase Daniels on the sideline midway through the second quarter after Mitch Trubinsky threw his first interception. So it's like, now you're messing with this kid's head, so you're scrambling as a head coach. But when you out-coach the guy on the other sideline and you're head coaching like this, that's not a good look.
No, it definitely isn't. So for the Giants, obviously, they got some work to do. Chicago, they have more work to do as well because, it was a win, but still not enough to really write home about. And obviously, playoffs are
they're done.
Yeah, are slipping away for both teams. But
not the Giants, because they could go 7-9 and still make that NFC East.
So you're saying there's still a chance?
There's still a chance, people.
So let's jump and take a quick break, shall we? We're going to continue talking the NFL when we come back. Hit us up on the social media accounts on OchoDuroParlayHour.com and join in the conversation. We'll be right back.
It's a heartbreak, soul-shaped radio attack. Taking 4 steps forward, no steps back.
Hey, this is Vince the Common Man Ciatoy, local MMA fighter, telling you to keep on listening to the ODPH, the 607's up-and-coming newest podcast.
We knew right where we'd be, floating on the airwaves, you see. It's a heartbreak,
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Still talking those locks and leaps, and let us talk about coaches' locks and leaps now, because Pat and I talked about ours last segment. So, Coach, take it away with your lock. You had the mighty Cleveland Browns jumping back in the situation.
I said they were going to play inspired football for the suspension of Myles Garrett, and by God, was I right on this one. Pat, go ahead.
We'll say Cleveland defeated the Miami Dolphins by the final score of 41-24. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 21 of 39 for 214 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Baker Mayfield, 24 of 34, 327 yards for 3 touchdowns and 1 interception.
I knew it was low-hanging fruit, and I jumped on it. But I really did. I really thought, like, with the suspension of Myles Garrett, the way that the locker room really, hovers around him, being the fact that he is a captain and probably one of the longest tenured Browns that they have currently. I knew that they were going to, the ownership comes out wearing a Myles Garrett, hat. So you knew that the crowd, with the
wild
pinata and helmet smash. I mean, so you knew the fans were going to be into it. You knew the team was going to be into it. And, let's face it, the Dolphins are, bad. So let's go. I'll take the win.
Browns are up 28-3 at halftime.
This was a game that they needed to really bounce back from. And the Browns obviously coming off that awful Steeler matchup, which, by the way, that's coming up this week, the rebound match. So that's going to be must-watch TV.
Especially after Mason Rudolph got benched, a lot of Cleveland's guys said that they hope that he played again. So
yeah.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah, that might be the game of next week. But for this past week, though, the Browns had a statement win to show everybody who these are the Browns who we thought we were going to see all season.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Browns currently in the playoff situation we're at with the AFC. They're in the 10th spot in the AFC, and the teams ahead of them are all 6-5. So they need a couple losses, and they get a win this week, and all of a sudden they're sitting at least the 6th playoff spot.
Yeah, because Pittsburgh is in. If the season ends today, Pittsburgh is in the playoffs with Buffalo as the wild cards. To see Cleveland really make a run, and obviously Baker putting up some numbers and obviously looking like the quarterback we thought he was, is a really good sign if you're a Browns fan hoping on the idea you can run the table. Is it going to happen?
Maybe.
Arguably.
Maybe. I mean, they've got Pittsburgh, 2 games against Cincinnati, Arizona, and Baltimore to close out the year.
It's an arguable topic.
Yeah,
I
might.
personally don't see it. But they have enough talent that maybe now they get it all together. But I think it comes down to coaching, and I still have no faith in Freddie Kitchens.
No.
I think that you took advantage of a very bad Dolphins team, and you did what you should have done.
I mean, this is like taking a Major League Baseball team who is, maybe middle of the pack in terms of batting and putting them up against like little leaguers and going, yeah, here, let's see if you can hit the ball. Of course they will.
Right. So this is to be expected. The Browns should have won this game, and they did, and won handedly. And going forward, they need to have a really big win against Pittsburgh this coming week. If they don't, their playoffs are done. I'm sorry. Any team that has 6 or more losses, good luck trying to get in.
I'll say the Dolphins didn't even crack 25 minutes in time of possession for this game.
No, they're just going through the motions. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be honest. They're still in the tank for Tua bandwagon.
Well, they're
or-
tanking
for
for
Burrows.
someone.
Or
Yeah, they're
somebody.
tanking for Burrows.
Yeah, whatever the case is, I mean, Fitzpatrick, is not the guy, so they're going to be going quarterback in the draft next season.
So you're saying that Fitzmagic has run out?
No, Fitzmagic definitely has. I mean, it is what it is. You know that he is a journeyman quarterback, that he'll come in, but is he a franchise guy?
No.
Not at this stage.
No,
and I think
not at that age.
That's a very honest statement. He's not. The only thing that Miami has a bright spot with is their tight end Gillespie there.
Yeah.
He is a sleeper on any fantasy team you want to take him on. He gets yards and he gets open. I mean, I know Fitzpatrick only got the ball to him 3 times, one of which was a touchdown.
Yeah.
And he is Fitzpatrick's go-to guy. I mean, Alan Hearn had a great game, sure, and Devontae Parker, yeah, he showed up for once. I mean, he's been known to disappear in games. This is this team that Miami, if you're looking on paper, you have work to do. You know this. You're probably going to go through a coaching change at the end of the season, arguably.
Yeah.
Arguably.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, but it is how it is. 2 wins.
It's one of those things that, like, okay, you got a new head coach come in, and if they have a losing season, all right, you give them a little bit of slack. Maybe it's a bad year, bad start. Give them to next year, see how things go. But asterisk, that's assuming they don't go like 2-9.
Yeah, because usually when you win 2 games in your first season, it's not a good look.
No.
I think the coach from Cincinnati, he's as good as gone, unless a miracle happens. And the Dolphins head coach, I think, might be right behind him. I mean, it is it is what it is. It's just how it goes in pro sports. And you have to really kind of see, okay, is this going to be your future going forward? I mean, Brian Flores definitely had a tough roster to work with, and
Yeah.
I think he doesn't deserve to get fired per se, but obviously he'll be on the hot seat if he keeps his job, though.
I'll say it's like he was trying to make chicken salad with nothing but mayonnaise,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
didn't get many of the other ingredients.
Yeah, I mean, he was put in a tough position where, I don't think he'll be out after this year, even though the abysmal performance, because I think ownership knows and kind of expected this going into the year that it was going to be this year, or going to be this way this year. You know, I mean, you can't just trade for Josh Rosen and bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick and lead and trade away, you know, your best offensive lineman, then give away your best defensive player and think that, you know, it's just going to be a good year.
Yeah.
So I think he'll get one more run of it. I think if he has a bad performance next year, you know, then yeah, he's toast. And, you know, my biggest takeaway from this, though, is here's Cleveland again on a run, you know, where it was looking kind of doom and gloom. You know, they were going to be, you know, oh my God, you know, Freddie Kitchens is over his head. This team is got so much talent. They can't win games. And now here we are sitting there with them at 5-6, you know, with a slate ahead of them that arguably, you know, they could potentially find their way in the wild card, or at least come week 17 playing for the wild
Yeah.
card.
Yeah, it's definitely not out of the realm of thought. It's just, what team are we going to see moving forward? That is the ultimate question here with Cleveland, because they have so much talent. This is why everybody favored them, that they were going to be the ones running away with the division.
Yeah, I mean, we were sitting here looking at them going, yeah, no, they're going to run away with it.
And they should have, but obviously first-year head coaching mistakes have come back to haunt them.
Yeah.
Dare I say, sketchy at best consistency from the offense.
I wouldn't even say sketchy at best. It's just bad at times.
Yeah, and it's to be expected with a second-year quarterback.
Yeah.
Because the one thing about the NFL, and we've talked about this on other shows, they study rookie quarterbacks.
Uh-huh.
The ones that are going to make it in the league are the ones that are going to adapt to change.
And it's not just football, it's any sport.
Right. But football especially, because of how the season is and just how much work is put
Yeah.
into really focusing on stopping one player, because if you stop a quarterback, you stop an entire offense.
Yeah.
That is the easiest thing to do in the world, but it's the hardest as well. And I know that sounds very confusing, but if you think about it, you focus all your energy on one player, you're making that one player have to beat you. Can you beat your 11 guys, beat that one player? That's what you have to think with. Baker is showing flashes of brilliance, not enough to really say consistency, but he's still grinding out there. That's the one takeaway you have to give. He's not sitting there complaining and not really throwing anybody
He's
under the
always
bus.
going to be a competitor. I mean, there was that stretch where it looked like he was kind of checked out or what exactly we were going to get from him, but he came right back in, dialed in.
Yeah. So that being said, the Browns have got some upside, and they are going to have to put some work in. I mean, Pat read through the schedule.
Yeah.
They're going to have to run the table if they want to get in. It's not to say it's unheard of by any stretch.
No.
But they have to put some work in. In Miami, the only thing they got to do is put some work in on the draft board, because that's what they're going to be focusing on.
Yeah.
Another team that's going to be joining them in that mess is those Jets.
2-0 this week and feeling good. My statistic of West Coast teams traveling east paid off here, as the Oakland Raiders, for whatever god-awful reason, were favored to come into the Meadowlands and play the Jets at home, and look what happened. They played like donkey do.
For those of you keeping track at home, Coach is now 1-1 in his record of West Coast teams coming east.
But the statistics are, and the numbers are there on my side. That's why you go with the analytics, and the analytics say West Coast teams traveling east play like donkey doo-doo. Tell them the numbers, Pad, just to prove my point.
So the final score of the game: New York Jets 34, Oakland Raiders 3.
What?
Derek Carr 15 of 27 for 127 yards.
Ran out of the building, folks.
No touchdowns, 1 interception. On the flip side, Sam Darnold 20 of 29 for 315 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Who came in for relief of that terrible Derek Carr performance?
Mike Glennon, ladies and gentlemen.
Mike Glennon showing. That's how bad it was in Oakland that you had to put Mike Glennon in. And I love Derek Carr. I loved his brother, David Carr. I'm a big Carr family guy. But my God, was he playing terrible.
Also, in case you forget, Mike Glennon, 2013 third-round pick from NC State.
Jets
Yes.
are the hottest team in football. boom.
The Jets are showing some.
They're looking good. I mean, they were at one point 1-7, gave the Miami Dolphins their first win of the season. Just talking to Jets fans that we know. Oh God, we're awful. How are we this bad? And then you sit here and they've rattled off 3 wins in a row.
I mean, you're supposed to beat bad teams like this, and that's exactly what they're doing.
And the Jets are really showing that Sam Darnold in that lineup might be the answer to what they needed. I mean, you take away the mono games.
Yeah.
Where do they rank? That's
the frustrating thing. If I'm a Jets fan, I'm ripping my hair out right now.
Yeah.
The mono games are going to come back to haunt them.
if you remove, because if Darnold wasn't sick during those games, the win loss, who knows? But if you take those mono games out, okay, that's -3 losses. They're sitting here at 4-4.
Yeah.
Can we also talk about the fact that Robbie Anderson just had to have himself a day?
Yeah.
Darnold, I know that you're there and you're listening, or this will get to you somehow, some way.
We do have a couple people in the Jets organization that do listen to the podcast. So
You
thank you for your patronage.
had gone to Crowder the last 2 weeks, so I was riding Crowder. 14 points, 15 points, perfect performance is exactly what I needed from him. But then all of a sudden, you're like, no, you've had enough. Now I'm going to feed Robbie Anderson the ball, and he single-handedly spanked me in fantasy football. And I know you care. And I accept your apology.
Darnold definitely was making some moves, especially his running touchdown, which I will say, why was he borrowing a page out of the Josh Allen playbook and running headfirst into the lineman?
I mean, listen.
I'm just saying.
You got to score.
I understand you got to score, but
Yeah.
you had some yards. You did not need to go head first.
I mean, maybe he was inspired by the Texas Longhorns head coach headbutting his player who had a helmet on before the game on Saturday.
Maybe you've seen more ghosts. I don't know. I mean, this is
Spooky.
was wild to me, but you have to give credit where credit is due. Darnold has played very well under this current win stretch, and they took advantage of a Oakland team that should be playing in the NFC South because who are they? What are they? We don't know.
I do know what they was a West Coast team traveling east.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I haven't hammered that point home.
And they were in that last playoff spot, which now, since they've lost, goes to Pittsburgh currently. So the intrigue builds up of what John Gruden is doing out there.
That AFC, I mean, just give the AFC playoff synopsis right now, because that is tough.
Yeah.
I'll say, so yeah, looking at the AFC playoff scenarios as we sit here recording, New England is currently the number 1 seed.
Boo.
Baltimore is the 2nd seed.
Okay.
Houston is the 3rd seed. Kansas City is the 4th seed. Buffalo is the 5th seed.
Yeah, baby.
Yo.
Pittsburgh is the 6th seed. And then you've got Oakland as 7, Indy as 8, and Tennessee as 9, and Cleveland as 10.
Those top 4, though,
Yeah.
all have only 2 to 3 losses, right?
No,
Houston.
Houston
has 4?
And so does Kansas City.
Okay, all right. Well, even still, though, those 2 of those losses could have easily been wins for both of those teams, and one of those losses were to each other.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, take that away, really 3 losses. I mean, that is a tough run. I mean, as well as the Patriots have played, Pad, this is not going to be an easy run to the Super Bowl
hell
like
no.
it had been
hell
before.
No. Oh, hell no. I mean, especially if they got to run up against Baltimore at any round in those playoffs.
I mean, they realistically could have to face Kansas City in the divisional round.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's
I mean,
possible.
that's very realistic.
It's a tough road to the playoffs because let's just say things stay the way they are. Patriots first round bye, home field advantage, and then you get into the second round of the playoffs and you got to face, let's just say, Patrick Mahomes,
Right.
And then you get into the championship round and hey, you got to face Lamar Jackson. Like, oof,
Yeah,
That's
tough.
It's a pick your poison.
Yeah.
And honestly, every team that's in the AFC playoff picture, I'm going to exclude Buffalo. I will be the honest fan here. The top.
Thanks for that.
The top 4. Well, I could go full homer if you want.
Go ahead. Listen. Do it. You should be happy. Buffalo's sniffing the playoffs for the first time since you were in diapers? I mean, come on, enjoy yourself.
No, I'm going to be honest about this. The top 4 teams in the AFC, arguably, are the creme de la creme of the NFL. Arguably. Yeah. I mean, there are some spots in the NFC. San Francisco, Green Bay, until last night. Yeah.
Done.
But you have to take a look
San Fran.
at that top team. For anybody to go and come out of that division as the AFC champion, you have to think as a Super Bowl favorite. Every team in there is got a dynamic offense, and their defense, even Kansas City is playing good defense.
Yeah, they are.
Which is almost unheard of. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, who was out, and they didn't falter, and they kept the ship riding.
no,
Right.
and everyone figured they would.
Yeah, and everybody thought they'd just completely belly up and get out of the playoffs. They're going to be tough to beat. Even the wild cards, which, or if you want me to give my homer pick, The Bills are hanging in there with a tough defense. Their offense, though, Josh Allen needs to play more consistent. It was a great win against Denver. Don't get me wrong. I'll take that all day.
I, as a team, would not want to play, especially if I'm a cold, snowy city, would not want to play. So, like Kansas City, I would not want to play Buffalo in the first round.
No.
If I'm them. Because if it's snowy, that is just going to absolutely favor the Bills.
Well, and
Yeah.
especially the last couple of years, the way the weather has worked here in North America, Kansas City about that time of year is always in the middle of a polar vortex.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if that's the
So
case,
it's 30 below zero.
that's a very easily winnable game for Buffalo because that kind of weather favors them, if you ask me.
It favors them, sure. But the overall X factor is going to be Josh Allen's play.
Sure.
That's because their defense is going to show up, but they have to get more focused on what they're going to try stopping. The run or the pass. Because past couple weeks, they've looked shaky at points.
And let's touch on this. Frank Gore
Yeah.
passing Barry Sanders?
Yeah.
Good.
The journeyman.
Tip of the cap to you, young man, because I remember when a certain somebody shattered his leg on national television, and we got every single angle of that. And now here he is now, third in rushing.
Yeah. Which you have to factor 15 years in the NFL to still run at an elite level.
Yeah.
To still be playing at a high pace.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tremendous.
It's truly remarkable. Truly remarkable. Because I know I was hearing some people on Twitter complaining, well, he's been in the league for 15 years. Do you understand how hard it is to be a running back in the NFL?
A running back at the age of 36.
Yeah, over 10 years in the NFL.
Especially because those young years he was getting carries.
Yeah, he was getting...
Even in Miami last year, he was getting 20 touches a game.
Yeah,
And he's been on a lot of bad teams.
Yeah, I mean, he went through the worst years of the 49ers.
Oh,
even
God.
Their last, Super Bowl run they had
Yeah.
when they faced Baltimore. To see how he's done, and he's been such a good influence on Singletary and everybody else in that offense, it goes without saying.
He's like
his
that
impact.
seasoned point guard that
Yeah.
that like a NBA team brings in. He might not get any minutes, even though he is a contributor to this team, but he might not get any minutes. But what he does in the locker room speaks volumes for everybody else.
Yeah.
It's like when the Yankees brought in Carlos Beltran a couple of years
Yes.
ago, where, okay, you're not expecting, 40, 50 home runs and 150 RBIs out of the guy. You're not bringing him in for his bat. You're bringing him in for his veteran presence and know-how.
Right, and how to set up a camera and TVs in the back.
Oh, that too.
Hey,
like where you're going with that. We haven't
Thank
forgotten
you.
anything as the Yankees fans. But getting back to the point, though, with Buffalo, they got a bright future. They just got to focus on a couple things, and it's going to come down to Josh Allen. For that last playoff spot, though, Pittsburgh is in it right now.
Pittsburgh's in it, and if you go to the ESPN.com website and the NFL playoff standings, the reason that they have the sixth spot in the playoff, I won't read it. It's like a paragraph long.
Here, let me help you eliminate the teams that aren't involved. Miami.
Yeah. Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, because everybody else is right there.
Cincinnati still 0-11.
Like, I mean, even though the Jets are, with a poor record right now, like, you can't even eliminate them because, I mean, they could very realistically just end the season at 7-9 themselves and mess around and get in there. I know they got it tough. They got to play New England again.
No, they don't.
Oh, they don't?
No, they've got Cincinnati next week, Miami the week after.
There we go.
Baltimore, Pittsburgh,
All right.
Buffalo.
So
They're looking
2-2.
They're looking at 7-9.
That's what I'm
Seven-
saying.
No, 7-9, 6-10.
But is that going to
All
be
right.
enough to get him in the playoffs? That's the
That's the
argument.
thing. Well, the
Yeah.
6th seed might be tough, but I mean, listen. Pittsburgh right now, their quarterback situation is,
Who is Pittsburgh?
Yeah. That situation is just going to get messy.
and if James Conner can't come back, because let me tell you, Jalen Samuels, you bum. Like, I mean, if they don't have James Conner, and Juju Smith-Schuster was out,
Yeah.
they also were missing their other wide receiver
Yeah.
on the other side of him. I mean, so if those guys don't come back and don't come back healthy, there's no way Pittsburgh is going to stay in that 6th seed. No way.
No, it's definitely not happening. And that's going to be the ultimate battle for the AFC moving forward between the teams that are in there. Oakland, Indianapolis, who will grind out a game
Oh,
with
yeah.
you.
Well, when you got the greatest offensive lineman of all time, dare I say the greatest football player of all time,
Quentin Nelson.
I said it.
Hey, and it's up for debate. He does
Yeah.
have the best.
Yeah.
He does have the best touchdown celebration of all time.
Not only that, but he also has the best blindside blocks you'll ever see in your life.
This is true.
Yes, he has ninja like speed.
His awareness on Madden better be 101.
Yeah, it's true. You have to see the video of him just moving. Like I said, it's like a ninja. He just all of a sudden you blink and he's on the other side.
He's
of the
on the
field.
other side, and the guy was right there in Jacoby Brissett's pocket, and he still blocked him. It's next. But Pat, Ken, I'll tell you, I'm rooting for Buffalo.
Okay.
You know, let's go. Let's go Buffalo. Is that what they say there?
Yes, they do.
You circle those wagons.
They say that while simultaneously putting you through a table.
Sure. Put me through one. Sign me up.
On fire sometimes.
Yes.
I'm not joining the bandwagon, you know, because, I mean, Icky, you know, Giants fan, true New York, you know, but, hey, you know what? You make the playoffs, good for you.
I was going to say, hey, but listen, how about them Cowboys?
Well, listen, I had to get into a screaming match as they're playing New England with my family.
Yeah.
And my wife comes in the room and goes, oh, God, I'm rooting for the Cowboys. And I go, what? Why? Well, I hate New England. And again, I have to point this out. New England has nothing to do with the Giants.
No.
The Giants have nothing to do with New England. The only reason why I hate New England now is to find out that we could have had Bill Belichick, and he's just going to retire as a Patriot. My disdain will and always be for the Cowboys. I will never cheer for them, ever. Not even if it was between the Giants making the playoffs and not with the Cowboys win. I still would not cheer for the Cowboys because it is not in my blood. But I'll cheer for the Patriots, sure.
Well,
Just
I mean,
not when they play Buffalo.
I mean, shout out,
Thank you.
Stephon Gilmore holding Amari Cooper to 0 catches.
There you go.
Killing my fantasy team on that one too.
Hey,
targets.
I hear you.
Gilly.
It was a rough weekend for me.
It was a rough weekend for fantasy football. It was a rough weekend for football in general in certain cases, but for the Buffalo Bills, it was a great weekend. For the New York Jets, it was a great weekend.
And then the Giants.
And then the
Bringing
Giants.
up the frickin' rear.
Yeah.
No, that's the Bengals.
No, well, I'm saying New York teams. Though.
And the scary thing, too, to just tie this back into the wild card to close out the segment, Cincinnati should have beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh pulled Mason Rudolph and put in the undrafted quarterback there,
Whack.
and they should have been able to run with it. But what I didn't understand, I was sitting actually with a Bengals fan watching the game, and
They
said,
have those?
Yeah, I actually know a couple.
Oh.
Legitimately.
Okay. All right, cool.
In upstate New York.
Outside of Cincinnati. That's
Yes.
impressive.
Oh, yeah.
They've had a tough life.
Yeah. And to see, the question was, okay, so they put Hodges in for Rudolph.
Whack.
Why didn't Dalton come in for Finley? That is the question that you had to ask.
I mean, Finley's the future. No, actually, Dalton wasn't active. I just saw that he got active
Okay.
back to the active roster.
Okay, so
This weekend.
But I was wondering, like, why didn't you pull that quarterback? Because he wasn't getting nothing done. I'm sorry, if that's your future.
To your assessment, maybe not to the Cincinnati Bengal fan assessment.
No, he was agreeing with me. He
Oh.
was saying the same thing. It was just like, why are we?
Listen, when Finley's leading this team to the Super Bowl next year while Tua's riding the Pine Pony, okay?
The only way he's leading him to the game is if he takes him to the airport driving the team bus. They're not.
Somebody's got to do it.
They're not going to get there. But for that last wild card spot, Cincinnati's out. Oakland has got some work to do if they want to get back in the race. Pittsburgh has to maintain the crown, but if the Jets go on a win streak, is it out of the realm of thought? If Cleveland goes on a win streak, is it out of the realm of thought they sneak in for that?
So many
final spot?
possibilities.
There's
so many possibilities.
You'll have to hit us up on Twitter and let us know at OD Parlay Hour or at Coach Duffy 11 because he definitely
Bring
wants
it.
to get that smoke.
I'll talk Giants football with you.
He wants to talk Giants football with everybody. So definitely hit us up on the social media accounts. What was your assessment of Week 12 in the NFL? We definitely want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, I heard you like movies.
I heard you like to hustle.
I heard you like podcasts.
Well, guess what?
There's a podcast for you out there called The Home Video Hustle.
Damn right.
Every Friday, we talk about whatever movie PJ picks out the bag. What does that mean? Every Wednesday on our YouTube page, I put a bunch of movies in a bag, and PJ picks one out at random. And then we just watch it. We talk about it for maybe like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever we feel like doing, wherever the conversation leads us.
But do we actually talk about the movie?
Most of the time.
Ah,
Tangents galore.
yes.
So believe me, we may be a movie podcast, but it's not always about movies. We might talk about video games,
Music.
Yeah, that's the big one. Music. Sometimes we might get a little bit of politicalness in there.
Yes.
Sometimes we may just, we know what we like to do. We like to tell stories, PJ.
Ah, yes.
I am the master storyteller
Yes.
of the podcast realm. undefeated. So if you like to hear about movies, video games, whatever foolishness comes to our mind, the most random stuff you could think of, check out the Home Video Hustle. You can find us on the Stitchers,
Yes.
the Google Play,
Yes.
Apple Podcasts,
What else?
Podbean,
What else?
Podcast Addict,
Goddamn.
all that. Ain't no reason you can't get your hustle on. We everywhere, worldwide, baby.
Hustle, motherfucking hustle.
Hey, we can't cuss in the promo, PJ.
Ah.
We gotta be family friendly. There may be podcasts out there that don't want his hair say
Ah. Ah.
all
Yeah.
that good fun stuff.
Well, you.
Don't run the listeners away, PJ.
Ah, I'm sorry.
But this is going kind of long.
Yes.
So we'll end this and say, hey, check out the Home Video Hustle every Friday on all the various podcast outlets. Peace.
Peace.
Hey, this is Brian Wolf from Fair City Fire. You are listening to ODPH, the greatest podcast in Binghamton.
Woo!
Hot lips touching, cool thighs feeling, shudder running up, her spine spinning. Long day to a long night, but I'm not stopping till I get it right.
Time to run the ropes here on the ODPH. It is our wrestling recap segment, and there was so much going on with the WWE this past weekend. Was it their strongest weekend of the year?
By God.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was pretty
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
You have to give the credit that
I'd even say maybe their strongest week. Not just weekend, but week.
it's debatable. That's one question I was kind of going back and forth with people on Twitter about. It was a memorable week, to say the least.
Yeah.
This was the build-up to the Survivor Series pay-per-view, which finally included all three brands,
Yeah.
Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. NXT has just come onto cable TV. It's on the USA Network on Wednesday, going head-to-head with AEW.
So the rest of the public is catching up with what those of us who've been watching for NXT for a while already know.
Right. So this has been a build-up of build-ups. You've now been getting familiar with some of the great talent to have on those NXT rosters, and also some familiar faces returning to the Full Sail auditorium, or wherever they define the studios where they record. I don't think it's ever been fully defined other than they just say it's Full Sail. So
Yeah.
That being said, we are going to recap the weekend, starting with War Games, the
War
NXT
Games.
preview, or their TakeOver pay-per-view, which is always the best pay-per-view event of the month. And dare I say, this one did not let us down. Pat,
No.
you want to go through the matches here?
Yeah, sir. Sure. So to open up the card, they had Angel Garza defeat Isaiah Swerve Scott. Then you had, that was on the pre-show, and then to open up the main show, you had the women's War Game match with Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Rhea Ripley, and Tegan Knox defeating Bianca Belair, Io Shirai, Kaylee Ray, and Shayna Baszler.
Coach, your thoughts on this match?
I thought this match was good. I think what was made this match great was it didn't like try to mimic the men so much. You know, like how like I was expecting like maybe the chain the face's door to be locked up by the heels and the key thrown. Like I was expecting some tomfoolery like that, and none of that happened. I thought that was tremendous.
Yeah.
And the heel turn was
Whoa.
spot on and
Was great.
vicious.
Brilliant.
Great.
Vicious. I mean, it felt passionate. Her not being able to be pulled back by William Regal.
Yeah.
The whole thing. I thought it made great. It made it look great. And then the match overall was fantastic. It was just the women did such a good job of making the match, like I said, different from what the men do, that I thought it was literally as perfect that it probably could have been booked.
No, yeah, it was definitely a good match. Like I said, it was the first women's War Game match that NXT has had, and it was a great first match for the women. Like Coach said, they could have gone with some of the same spots that the men have done, or even borrowed some of the ideas or some of the stuff that the men have done in the past and gone, oh, hey, you know what, that'd be really fun to do. Why don't we do that? But no, they took it and made it their own.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Dog and I were over at the hashtag 607 podcast, fellow brother in 3 Fat Nerds studio, watching with them. And actually, Mike C. from Horror Zone 607 was actually in attendance. And all of us were marking out when Dakota Kai did the big heel turn, because her character has never been known for that. Turning on
No,
the
the
best friend.
happy-go-lucky, smiling, high-fiving, hugging.
Yeah, the day of the Bailey happy-go-lucky character, I think, is done
Well,
for right now.
But the thing with Dakota Kai is, if you watch NXT Weekly, when she didn't get picked initially to join, Rhea Ripley's team, you're sitting there going, even I was sitting there going, all right, she's turning heel at some point here.
Yeah, you figured something was going to happen, and sure enough, how she played it off was brilliant.
Oh, it was
taking out
great.
Tegan Knox so she couldn't appear in the match.
I'll say one would almost say it's almost Seth Rollins-like, and just unexpected. Oh my God.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were all saying the same thing when we were watching live. Like all three podcasts, and like I said, even the one and only dog was blown away by how well this match was done. And Rhea Ripley, if you weren't familiar with her,
she looked like $1 million this weekend.
I'll say I know everyone's kind of been talking about and saying, oh, how good a couple weeks Adam Cole has had, and deservedly so. He's had a great couple weeks. I would say Rhea Ripley's making out like $1 zillion.
Oh, I mean, they made her look like a star.
She's gone. You think about it. She's gone from somebody that if you watch NXT regularly and even a little bit of NXT UK, you know who she is, and you're like, oh, awesome, Rhea Ripley's here. She's gone from that to everybody knows her now.
yeah, she definitely stood out in Io Shirai.
Yeah, tremendous. But I mean, you know that like Rhea Ripley, I thought was. Because she's on the UK thing and NXT, like you don't get to really see her. I mean, from her Friday, Saturday, and Sunday run, I mean, she had a hell of a weekend.
Yeah.
Talk about the fact that you beat Charlotte Flair.
Oh yeah.
Huge.
I mean, that's insane. And
Say the stock is up.
yeah, I mean, you don't do that, especially as somebody who's NXT. So I mean, and I know I'm going ahead of myself here, but I really thought that their main goal of this weekend was to make NXT look like a main card player.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
And that was my biggest takeaway from this, and they did it in spades.
They did it in spades. It was phenomenal, the job they did with this. And I mean, that was the kickoff to the weekend, really, if you want to break it down. Like, I'm sure we had Friday Night SmackDown and the absolute egregious cutting off of Keith Lee versus Braun Strowman, which we'll get into later. But they kicked off the show proper with this. The women's War Game match was phenomenal. I'll say arguably the best match of the night. Next matchup was...
It was the triple threat match between Damian Priest, Killian Dane, and Pete Dunne for #1 contendership for the NXT Championship belt, which you would then face Adam Cole the following night on the Survivor Series card. And Pete Dunne ended up defeating both Damian Priest and Killian Dane.
Really good match.
Really good match. Really good match.
Yeah.
Close. The pins, the near falls were, edge of your seat. Oh my God. Moments. I wasn't really. I was excited for the matchup. I mean, I wasn't really sold on Damian Priest going in, just because I don't know. For me, like just the big guy, just being the big guy for the sake of being the big guy. I've never really enjoyed. Like, I've never been huge on the Undertaker or Kane or any of the quote unquote monsters, just because I'm only 5'9", so like I always liked those guys more.
Right.
But I mean, he really impressed me this weekend, especially this match with Dunn. Their ability to work together, and Killian Dane. That's a tough dynamic because obviously somebody's got a bump, and it's going to be the little guy.
Yeah, no, Damian Priest definitely. I warmed up to him a little bit just because when he first started showing up, I couldn't connect with the character because he's a big tall guy, great, and he's like the Bachelor, $1 million millionaire. Oh, look at I'm showing up in a limousine with women and all this stuff. I'm like, all right, we've
seen that. Yeah.
But no, I'm warming up to him a little bit. I'm not sold over the moon about the guy, but he's good.
See, I've been a fan of his since he was Punishment Martinez in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I think that, and that's where when he was Punishment, I did not enjoy him because they booked him so strong that it was the overbooking.
Yep.
And that turned me off. And then when he came to WWE, I was like, they're just gonna book him the same way. They're not gonna change anything because he's a monster.
Right.
But they did.
But yeah, they changed him, and where his character is now completely different.
Right, and that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
That I noticed, that he's not the same guy that he was in ROH, which was smart by WWE.
Yeah, so I thought he looked good in the loss here, and I thought Killian Dane did too, because especially breaking away from Sanity.
Yeah.
Not to say he's been lost in the shuffle, but
it's tough to find your footing when you break away from a group. You know?
and
especially with all the, like you said, the shuffle, and then just kind of the craziness with taking NXT from the pre-taped, show to the we're going live for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. But I definitely thought they had a great match. I think everybody really kind of stood out. Not the best match of the card, but a great match.
No, it was the right winner for tomorrow, the next show.
Yeah, it made
was
sense.
Pete Dunne. Yeah, it just made sense.
Absolutely made sense.
Yep.
The next matchup, though, was a lot of intrigue with this one.
Mm-hmm. It was Finn Balor defeating Matt Riddle.
Yes, which obviously Finn Balor making his reemergence to NXT after being gone from WWE after the whole Bray Wyatt thing.
For like 2 months or so.
2 months or so, but he's
Something
doing
like
the
that.
heel gimmick, which we've all marked out
They're
about.
using the moniker Prince a lot.
Yes.
I didn't love it. It just
The match was what it needed to be. It
Yeah,
was
I
kind
just-
of like an in between. All right, let's let everybody calm down here a little bit.
right. I don't. Yeah, maybe it was that the position on the card that it got booked, but that it was. I mean, the crowd still seemed hot for it.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not like it
Oh,
wasn't.
yeah.
It's just I don't know if I didn't really like the two of them, their chemistry in the ring.
I agree.
It kind of felt choppy, because like Riddle has this slow down, drag him down style, and then Finn obviously explosive,
High octane.
dynamic. Wants to be keeping the pace up. So in MMA, that's a great clashing of
Yeah,
styles.
that's what I was going to touch upon that.
In WWE in wrestling, that style doesn't really work because you want to see the excitement. And you're not in it for the story of the guy, the slow guy versus the fast guy.
Yeah.
So like that. So while it was still a decent match, and I was excited to see this matchup, it just didn't. I wasn't full, gung ho on it.
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing for me is I enjoyed the match. I'm a Finn Balor guy. I like Finn.
Same.
But just from the thing with the match for me is like, okay, just the whole setup for the match was kind of confusing. Like, okay, you showed up and all of a sudden you just hate Matt Riddle. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that was probably supposed to be Gargano.
It was supposed to be Gargano, but Gargano was still hurt.
Yeah, but it
Right.
must have been legitimate because
Yeah.
It felt very like I'm thinking Heavyweights, the Grown Ups movie where it's supposed to be Chris Farley and it's just it's not him,
Right,
so like you
right.
could tell that there's a void in the movie, and that's what Riddle was. It was just taking up a void. I would have liked to seen Finn be a little more heelish.
Yeah.
Well, I think that
Still with the face entrance.
right.
Still with the shining of the lights and the whole thing. I would have liked to have seen more, not demonic, but I'm saying like more heel Finn. Maybe less catering to the crowd because the crowd was still into the dun dun dun
I
part,
mean, to be fair though, if there's any critique WWE has when it comes to changing a person's intro when they go from face to heel or vice versa, they take a hot minute. I mean, it's only within the last 2 weeks or so that Sasha Banks, after being a heel for like a month and a half now, finally has new music. Bayley, at least this is because I don't get to watch SmackDown all the time. Bayley, to my knowledge, is finally got a heel entrance.
I mean, but it doesn't need to be a new song. Just
No.
not play the raising of the hands
Yeah.
and the
Well-
going to the corner and doing the whole thing. Be just subtle about it. How heelish would it have been had when the big dun 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 part come out and he just no sold it.
I think it's for him and I think for the writing staff too, is seeing how the fans were going to react. And obviously with how this match was thrown together, that they weren't going to unveil everything because
Right.
because I
Yeah.
think that it was geared toward more so when he fights Gargano. I think that's when you see the new entrance and the new real
Okay.
Finn Balor.
Yeah, see, I think that this one was just, okay, go out there, make it a mix, because with the Chicago crowd, you knew they were going to be a hot crowd.
Oh yeah.
And
Right.
you knew that no matter what,
Yeah,
they were
Finn
going
was
to
gonna
mark
be
out.
over.
Yeah,
Right,
so,
yeah,
so
that's
it's like,
true.
so like, why burn it on a crowd? Like, waste it on some other crowd that is not going to get it as much.
That's fair.
Because when you have the smart fans, they jump on it, and no matter what you do, they're going to cheer you. It's a waste of it. So, but this one did what they needed to do. It put Balor over, which I don't think this hurt Riddle at all. But I do think, though, the one thing that I thought was hysterical, Riddle whips out the jackhammer.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it.
That was hysterical.
Yeah,
and the
as much
spear.
as much as he wants that match with Goldberg.
Oh my God! Yeah, the trolling, amazing. And to round out the card, because the one thing, if you're not familiar with NXT takeovers, they usually only have 4 matches on there because they give the
Right.
wrestlers time to
Short,
wrestle. To go.
sweet, and to the point.
Right. So we had what to close the show, Pat?
You had the male War Games match where it was the Undisputed Era, of course, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong against Team Tommaso Ciampa, which was Dominic Dijakovic, Keith Lee, Tommaso Ciampa, and up to that point, an unknown 4th entrant.
Right. Who turned out to be Kevin Owens.
Old school Kevin Owens.
Which I did tweet this out. I said the PWG fan of me marked out
saw
like
that, yeah,
nobody's freaking business.
and I like what they did with his entrance. It was the old school shirt with the tape of KO. It
Yep.
was the old Titantron.
And the NXT
the huffing,
background too on the back of his shirt.
The huffing and puffing, heavy breathing and yelling. And old school Kevin Owens was back.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful.
One could say it was glorious.
Because with how they had to rewrite the show with Gargano being out, there was the whole mystery fourth member of the team. Who was it going to be? We don't know. It was
A lot of speculation was that it was going to be John Morrison.
Yeah, which
Right, yeah, going to the show, we had talked about that.
Yeah, which we were all having a good debate about too over at 3FN Studios. Is if it was John Morrison, would the crowd have popped as much?
Probably not.
No, as much as they did for Owens, no. They would have popped, but not as much as they did.
I don't even know who else. Like, yeah, all right, Morrison would have made sense, but he's not it needed to be an NXT guy.
Yeah.
It needed to be somebody who had, and it needed to be somebody who had history with the four of them,
Right.
to really make that entrance mean anything. Because it could have been Morrison, and he could have came out and been a hell of a hand in that match. Because my God, him. Athleticism with strong and Red Dragon. That would have been tremendous. But the fact that it was Kevin Owens and the history that he has with Adam Cole, perfect.
Yeah,
And that's going to be a moment that wrestling fans look back on, and when you think of some of your favorite moments in wrestling over time, for a lot of people, that's going to be a moment that they remember very fondly.
yeah, absolutely. It was a great moment. It was a good throwback to the NXT because especially when you have all the talent that goes to the quote-unquote main roster.
Right.
To see them come back and just jump in, and especially if you knew the independent history between Roddy and Adam Cole and Kevin Owens and
Yeah.
Red Dragon, it just made sense.
Right. So the other thing that this match did for me was Dijakovic.
You can say Dijak. We'll just call it
Sure,
that, 'cause
sure.
that's
All
easy to
right.
do.
I wasn't huge on him when he was in ROH. I wasn't huge on him when he left. I walked out of NXT TakeOver a fan.
Yeah.
No, not like
Right,
over the
right,
top guy,
right,
but
right.
when his match isn't on, I'm not going to cringe anymore like I was before. I definitely, they booked him well, looked wicked strong, was impressive, took bumps too, was athletic. I don't think that they could have used him any better.
No, he definitely has really stood out now. I was always a fan of his in ROH. And in fact,
Yeah,
when he even came to Excite Wrestling on a one night only.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised.
I don't know. Maybe I got a little Napoleon complex when it comes to big wrestlers because I got a thing. I don't like them. I don't like them.
You could say that, but he really made the best of his moments this week, especially the ladder match. He had with
Oh
Adam Cole.
God, that shot that Cole hit him with the briefcase? I
Ow.
screamed. I was watching it, with my son. Who doesn't get, he's 3, he doesn't get the concept. But when he hit him with it, I go, "Oh my God!"
Yeah.
Holy shit, he really hit him with that.
Yeah, he really nailed him with that. And he sold it too.
Yeah.
And
Oh
was
yeah, he
perfect.
took that bump real good on that ladder too. but-
And we have to give credit where credit is due. Adam Cole deserves a standing ovation
Yo,
for this past weekend.
Dude,
But
I
the-
was texting friend of the show, George Gatton, during the show, and I go, "My God, does Adam Cole just draw the short end of the stick in every single one of these matches? Because he is always taking the shitty bumps. Just every night, man. Whenever there's these matches, it's like, he'll take the bump. What are we doing? It's like that's what it feels like it is at this point. George's like, he replies back and goes, if you want to be the best, you got to take risk. But it's like, there's some risks, I guess.
There was taking risks, and there was taking that kryptonite crunch off
Oh
the top
my
of the cage
God.
through 2 tables.
I mean, first off, while we're clapping for him, Tommaso Ciampa
Oh, absolutely.
absolutely
Welcome
cradled
back.
his neck perfectly on that landing. I mean, if you watch it, he, the whole time was, definitely looking down, angling where they were going to land and holding Adam Cole's neck, in a perfect position. And something else that was very interesting that not a lot of people are talking about. One Britt Baker made the camera.
Well,
It did get mentioned in the post show.
Yes.
it got mentioned in the post show. That was not a deliberate showing. According to Triple H, the person in the truck didn't know who she was and cut to him and cleared the air.
Wink, wink, nod.
It's now in the day and age where you don't really
Yeah,
know.
that's what George said to me too. He goes, "It's 2019," and I go, "Listen, I get it, but back in the day, that would not have flown.
Yeah, that's why I say I have my suspects about that.
Come on.
Like, yeah, no, I no, because I think that unfortunately,
You don't show that shot when
Yeah.
you don't know who it is. I mean, it's not even like she was sitting in a spot that would have been noticed. Like somebody noticed
Somebody
her.
found her.
Somebody said something backstage, and they were known. They knew where she was.
and that was also a direct shot at AEW.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, which I'm like, why?
Whatever.
Why are we stooping to that?
I'll take the pettiness. Hey, with how petty AEW is, good for WWE playing at their same thing. And ironically, of all the places to do it, it was NXT.
Yeah.
All for the petty. Give it to me.
But it worked though. Ciampa won. I mean, Team Ciampa won. Obviously, finished a great night.
Great night.
Great night. I mean, overall, the card was
Stellar.
Great. Was great. I mean, it was what you expected from NXT.
Yeah, I there isn't anything else I would have wanted to see on that show that wasn't on there.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really think of it. And then obviously this was building into the hype for the next day, which was Survivor Series, which is the big. I didn't realize this was the second longest WWE pay per view.
Yeah.
But this is longer than SummerSlam.
Is it then it's longer than the Rumble?
No, yeah, apparently, yeah.
They said on the show last night that it is the second longest running pay-per-view they have.
Oh, meaning like history.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I knew that.
I thought SummerSlam was longer.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I thought you meant like time-wise.
No. I just saw for history-wise because Survivor Series has always had a great tradition with the WWE.
Yeah,
I mean,
it started because Vince wanted something that was over Thanksgiving weekend.
right. And this, I mean,
When families were together. It originally was supposed to air on Thanksgiving.
well, it used to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but then they changed it.
Yeah, and this is one that, I mean, it brings so many people together, too, because it had all three brands going.
Yep.
And, I mean, if you want to even take a look at, like, everybody that was chiming in, I mean, we were talking with Lou from Pint of Comics. Bill and Frankie Pop Culture was chiming in, too. I mean, they ran a pre-show for this, or for War Games this weekend. There were so many podcasts that were jumping in about this, too, that everybody was marking out because the excitement has been built up. Because all week, you've seen wrestlers have the dream match scenarios get set up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, for me, I got mad, legitimately mad, Friday night when they cut off Keith Lee and Braun Strowman. I was swearing, I'm not even joking about this, and I bear no shame in saying this. Like, when they were in the ring, I'm like, don't you dare cut this off. And then when we faded to black, I'm like, and I won't repeat the rest. But going into this match, we knew the stakes were high. Obviously, CM Punk coming back, Chicago, a lot of energy, a lot of
Heard
excitement.
the name a few times.
Yeah, a lot of excitement to kick in. So, Pad, why don't you kick us off about recapping the card here?
Yep. So on the pre-show, you had Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode win the tag team battle royal. I won't run through all the teams. It was a number of tag teams from both Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. Just to name a couple of names, Street Profits were there. The Revival was there. OC was there. Lucha House Party was there, but Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode came out on top. You had Lio Rush defend the NXT Cruiserweight Championship in a triple threat match against Akira Tozawa and Kalisto. You had Eric and Ivar defeat Big E, Kofi Kingston, and then Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly in the triple threat three-way tag team match.
Good match. Solid
match.
Great
Perfect
match.
opener.
Yeah.
Viking Warriors looked great. Him and Big E, just the big men moving like that, always fun to see. And then obviously O'Reilly and Fish looked very strong because they were able to play that, cut down the legs and cut down your size.
Yeah, it had a very old school feel that was modern.
Yeah.
That I thought worked, and I was like, could Red Dragon not take a beating after going through War Games and take that spot they did to finish the match?
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, my God, man. Like,
Yep.
Make it stop.
Yep. But then to open the card, you had the women's Survivor Series match where you had Team NXT and Bianca Belair, Candice LeRae, Io Shirai, Rhea Ripley, and Toni Storm. And then you had Team Raw where you had Asuka, Charlotte Flair, Kairi Sane, Natalya, Sarah Logan. And then you had Team SmackDown with Carmella, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, Nikki Cross, and Sasha Banks, where Team NXT came out on top.
Well, Rhea Ripley came out on top.
Yeah, Rhea
Yeah.
Ripley and the whole one thing I thought was kind of weird for the storytelling, and I mean I understood it by the end of it, was like the mysterious stomach virus that apparently like Candice LeRae and Io Shirai were on the ground like holding their ribs. Like,
I mean, to be fair, they did the same thing with Roman in the Royal Rumble a few years back.
right? Which,
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know. I was complaining about the stomach virus. I call that the stomach virus because, like, mysteriously they're on the ground, like, like holding their ribs.
Yeah,
like,
I missed it, and I got a text saying,
Well,
where'd those two go? And
Right.
then-
And I thought something legitimately happened because
Right.
whenever somebody gets, quote unquote, injured in a wrestling ring, Lord knows there's 1,000 angles of it and 1,000 replays of it. But in this instance, they didn't show anything. So that's why I'm sitting here going, wait, is this legitimately injured? Like, they're not showing it 1,000 times.
Yeah, they just straight up disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it was weird, but it worked out in the favor that Rhea Ripley, like we said, was a star this weekend. Absolutely put over and had some great in-ring work, and they've definitely showcased like why NXT UK, especially her and Toni Storm, are so heavily respected and the brand they're really watched now too. So great match overall.
Yep, and then it was followed up by another good match between Roderick Strong, AJ Styles, and Shinsuke Nakamura in a triple threat with the North American Champion, the U.S. Champion, and the Intercontinental Champion.
With a new belt.
With a new belt.
Yeah, I didn't get that, but
Yeah, I think that they're just trying to switch it up for whatever reason, but this match definitely was a good match.
Didn't get my spirit test like I wished.
No, but man, Roddy was laying some chops in.
Yeah.
yeah.
If Roddy can do nothing else, it is throw chops.
And throwing backbreakers, because I think pretty much everybody got 2 to 3 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. And it was a fun match. I mean, I actually like this one better than AJ and Nakamura at WrestleMania.
Oh, God,
yes,
yeah. But,
yes.
I mean, that's not saying much because
that's a
anything
low
was
bar.
going to be better than
Yeah.
that.
That's a low bar.
Yeah, it is a low bar, but at least it got to redeem itself a little bit
Yeah.
in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because I sat there, I was just like, okay, this is good. And Roddy definitely took advantage of the moment.
Which is a perfect heel move.
Yeah. And how he steals the win. I mean, it was perfect. And what else can you really say about this match? It did what it needed to do, and people really got to see what we all see with Roddy Strong each week.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the most underrated people on the NXT roster, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. Oh, yeah.
So
Especially since he joined with Undisputed Era.
he now has a personality.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, he wasn't before. When he was against them, you could see that that there was the potential there for him. But then when you put him into the fold, and then he just gets to be this arrogant, SOB that you just don't like.
Right.
He fits that role so well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So going on to the next match.
You had Adam Cole defend the NXT Championship against Pete Dunne.
Arguably my match of the night.
Oh God. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Arguably.
I mean, the two of them work so well together.
Uh-huh.
The near falls, the the moonsault super kick.
Oh my God.
So good. He hits that just
Perfect.
beautifully.
Yes.
Everything about this match was spot on. And this was,
It was a good showcase for them, too.
yeah, this definitely shows
Because I know there are still some people who are like, NXT sucks, and they kind of like crap on it to a certain degree. But I think this was like overall everything from top to bottom with the NXT folks. It was a good showing to show, hey, they're not developmental anymore.
Well, once I'll have an interesting take once we wrap up the whole thing. That wraps up the weekend very well.
Okay. After that, you had the WWE Universal Championship match between The Fiend, who defeated Daniel Bryan in 10 minutes.
So
Good match.
yeah,
Like I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it, but like going off the heels of the NXT, which, like I said, this was an instant classic between Dunn and Adam Cole, and you understand like why these two are so highly, touted as being part of the future brand that's coming in. With Bray and Daniel Bryan, you have to compare Bray's Fiend work with this match to the one we did with Seth Rollins.
Sure.
And why did Daniel Bryan figure out the Fiend and like hold his own a little better than Seth Rollins?
So I think I have something that because the story to this was the Fiend's trying to get the Yes movement, trying to get that Daniel Bryan back, not necessarily get him back, but try and get him to change who he is, and I think the power of the Yes movement was what, the people being behind Daniel Bryan was what made Daniel Bryan be able to hurt the Fiend more. Like, I know that's like wicked supernatural and really like 1990s type wrestling, but like I really feel like that's the narrative that they're going to come out and say on SmackDown, that like Daniel Bryan's going to come out, because he did the Yes thing. I think he's going to come out and be like, embracing the Yes movement, and then they're going to have, obviously another match. And I think that's what's going to yield, Daniel Bryan be able to hurt the Fiend, is that he embraces the Yes. He embraces the people, and the Fiend, can't have that.
See, for me, this was probably the weakest match on the entire main card for me.
Well, it was,
just because you think back to the card overseas with, Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins. and Seth Rollins threw literally everything he had at the Fiend and couldn't beat him. I'm sitting here going, okay, Daniel Bryan, love you, great wrestler, one of my favorites. You ain't got a shot in hell against him. But and at the same token, I like the gimmick and the Bray Wyatt and the Mysterious and the Fiend. But my God, can we please get away with the red light? Make it blue. He's SmackDown, blue belt.
That's what I said too. I said,
but
jokingly.
come on.
But that's why I really play into this. I think it's going to be Daniel Bryan and the Yes Movement because the people weren't behind Seth. So I feel like that's the narrative that they're going to say, like why Seth couldn't hurt him no matter what he threw at him because the people weren't behind him. But Daniel Bryan has that, and I know it's wicked 1990s, but I feel like that's what they're going to tell.
Yeah,
It is, but you know what? Maybe that's the story going because like that was my only kind of takeaway. I was like, all right, well, how is Daniel Bryan figuring this out? And I mean, they needed to humanize the Fiend, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because to make him the supernatural, unstoppable force.
so he got electrocuted in his last match and stood up.
Yeah, like
Well, I mean, let's not forget like Mankind.
Yeah.
Like he had that real stretch where like especially during Shawn Michaels' title reign, where it was just like, how do you stop him? And then all of a sudden, the Undertaker, was able to do it because he was also a supernatural being. So I just think that it's got to be something like that the spirit of the Yes, carries him through.
yeah. Overall, though, it was what it was, and
Not as bad as the matches that he's had with Seth, but
no,
not great.
No, not great. Arguably the worst match of the night.
Yeah.
Arguably, and it's debatable, but like I said, it didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah. After that, you had the men's Survivor Series matchup with Team SmackDown in Braun Strowman, King Corbin, Mustafa Ali, Roman Reigns, and Shorty G, going up against Team NXT in Damian Priest, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, Tommaso Ciampa, and Walter, against Team Raw in Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Ricochet, and Seth Rollins, with Team SmackDown winning.
All right, 2 quick takes, and then I'll let pass the mic. 1. Walter was eliminated way too early.
Yes.
Bad. That was
way,
bad.
That was
Yes.
bad for being an NXT UK champion.
Yeah.
And for being freaking Walter, because Walter is amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Second-
And for being the size that he is.
Yeah, to have him out like that, no way. Not on my watch. Secondly, 2 words. Keith Lee, mic drop. Go home. What a performance.
Keith Lee comes out a hero in this.
Oh my! He should have won that. I understand. I was going back and forth on Twitter with some people about it and having some good conversations, which is always nice to have with wrestling fans.
Yeah.
It wasn't toxic. It was everybody seeing everybody's point. It was a great experience. I'm sorry, Keith Lee should have won that match. Mm-hmm. You didn't need SmackDown to look strong per se because at the end of the day, what do you win if your brand wins everything?
Yeah.
Do you get a trophy? Do you put in your Chiron? Do you what is it?
Excuse me. I like what the one somebody, I can't remember where I saw it, put, what if you do it like, if your brand wins, quote unquote, Survivor Series, your brand gets the number 30 spot in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, see, that would make sense. Like,
That would
if,
make sense.
if you did something like that, I'd be
Yeah,
like,
I like
okay, I'm
that.
down.
So like you got the proverbial ping pong balls with names on them, and you go, all right, number 30. All right, we got to get all these Raw and SmackDown names out of there. NXT one, it's got to be an NXT guy coming in number 30.
They need to do something for that if you're going to make it worthwhile, because otherwise, like Roman winning, sure.
LOL, Roman wins.
Real quick though, my Keith Lee take: strap the rocket ship to him because that boy is taking off.
I mean, to be fair, you don't need to strap a rocket to that man because he's very athletic.
Well, to put the you got to get him over the moon, and he did.
Yeah, he looked absolutely great. Like the fact that Rollins took the pin clean
Uh-huh.
was huge, and I thought you almost had a Jericho moment in making with when it got down to the beach, him and Roman at the end. Because when he hit that power bomb on Roman and Roman bounced,
Yeah. Oh my God, that
should have been game over.
I honestly thought for a second, I suspended disbelief, and I was like, Keith Lee is going to win this freaking match.
Yeah,
And this place is going to lose its shit.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it should have happened. It
Should've.
didn't. It didn't. But overall, I mean, it was a great match for everybody involved.
Yeah, I mean,
Just my only takeaway is Walter losing that badly.
that wasn't smart.
Not a good look.
And I mean, as much as I would have liked to have seen NXT win, I mean, I guess Roman winning probably makes the most sense because it is Roman.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
just him losing clean to Keith Lee probably wouldn't have made a lot of people in the back happy. So
I just wish, Roman wins. I would just wish he would have hit a couple more finishers instead of doing his stereotypical hang in the outside, come in, spear, 1, 2, 3, done.
Well, that's what he does in these kind of matches because he just doesn't have the skill set to last that long.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, it's the truth. He doesn't have the stamina to last in those kind of spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those kind of situations where this is where he develops that Cena complex where different scenario, but
right. Well, Cena will put on a 60-man Iron Man match.
Yeah.
And won't bat an eyelash, and it will be a good to decent match.
Roman has never had
Roman
that cardio.
will never, ever be able to do that.
Yeah, he's never had that cardio since his days in NXT. It's just he doesn't have it. But he did get the win. Everybody else looked good, and like I said, they owe something to Walter because for how they did him up like that because that was not cool.
Yep.
Next match.
You had the WWE Championship match against Brock Lesnar, defending against Rey Mysterio in a no disqualification match, and Brock Lesnar retained.
Garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys didn't like the Bray Wyatt Daniel Bryan thing. I thought this was way worse.
Shortest match on the entire card, and I'm counting pre-show on this. 6 minutes and 37 seconds.
Good. 6 minutes too long.
Yeah, this match did absolutely nothing for me, and
I'll say this: I didn't enjoy the match. I didn't hate it. I did enjoy the little spot they did with his son.
Yeah, with
Dominic, that was cool.
Yeah, with Dominic, it was the only cool spot. Of
like the
whole
family 619, that was cool, but that was about the only good thing.
My problem with this is like, all right, Ray, if you're holding on just so you can help get your son in the door,
yeah,
it's just. You don't need to do that.
I mean,
let the kid make his own. Because you see what happens when these guys...
David Flair.
Thank you so much. That's exactly what I was going to say. When guys hang on because they want to help their son get over, inevitably the son just doesn't get over.
Yeah.
And I know Dominic apparently has been working really hard in the training center and putting in his time and everything, but it's like, when you hang on and you strap your name to your son's name and you don't let them make it on their own in the wrestling business, it is an almost guarantee that they will not either A, make it, or B, they will just be villainized their entire career. Charlotte Flair at least had the ability to be, separate herself from her dad because of her ability to wrestle. David Flair, though, not so lucky. Then you look at Hennig, doing the Axel gimmick, inevitably wasn't able to make it. So, it's a very tough road to walk when you do that whole strapping yourself to your father or your father strapping yourself to the son. And, Brock matches are Brock matches. I mean, I would have liked Kane coming out.
Yeah, no.
That's what I would have hoped for.
98 Kane would have been perfect.
Yeah.
No.
Velasquez.
Yeah. No, my whole thing with this match is kind of like what I said with, Daniel Bryan going up against The Fiend. Okay, for Seth Rollins to defeat Brock Lesnar, it took like 9,000 low blows,
right,
and 10,000 curb stomps for him to beat him. Love you, Ray, Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever do it. You're not beating Brock as he's currently being booked.
Yeah, so this one was what it was. They needed a filler match. It worked.
I really like for the way that the night was going. A surprise of some sort would have been perfect. And I really think Kane coming in here...
Kane should have came in.
Yeah, would have been perfect. Like, him and Dominic coming out would have been perfect. And I know, Kane's... I heard he was at the Performance Center the last month. Did he have the surgery? Is that what's going on?
I think he's rehabbing right now.
Okay, so, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Maybe even just him standing up at the ramp and then Dominic coming from the crowd would have been perfect. Because that would have been like, oh, Kane, Dominic, maybe that. But instead just being Dominic, I don't know. That's just... I don't care. Like, Dominic is just...
Yeah.
The Dominic storyline's not moving the needle for me.
Yeah, it's just not... Like, I don't care because it doesn't have the star power for me, you know?
It's just there, but Brock did his thing, so now he's going to disappear till Royal
Rumble.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
see ya.
Yep, so...
They'll book...
Enjoy Canada.
They'll book separate.
Yeah, but then we close out with one of the...
most anticipated matches.
Yeah. Because we really didn't know how this one was going to go. A lot of build-up.
Yeah, a lot of build-up. You had, of course, the triple threat match between the three women's champions in Shayna Baszler from NXT, Bayley from SmackDown, and Becky Lynch from Raw, with Shayna Baszler winning by submission.
Thoughts on this, Coach?
I thought this match was tremendous. They booked this so well. The girl, Becky, Bayley, Blazer. Ken, get ready for this. Hold on to your seat. I think Blazer does better with the main roster girls.
We actually discussed this at the War Games match because Rich and company want to have a little discussion when you come on about your opinion of Shayna Baszler. I thought she was great in this.
She was great. I actually watched the match and enjoyed her way more because, I mean, maybe it's just the way that she gets booked against the NXT girls, which, I mean, I don't know, whatever. But when she was in the main ring with Becky and Bayley, I was sitting there watching it and I was like, wow, she is really talented.
Yeah,
like
she's really good.
This is a really good match. Like, oh man. So, I mean, for me, I guess if she has another title match on NXT, I'll not care and have other disdain for it. But if she wrestles Becky or Bayley again, sign me up for it. I'll be the first one to watch the match.
This one definitely was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, but I thought their timing was off again too. And which I don't know if that's something with Becky in a 3-way match.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's so funny, like this whole card being triple threat match. Like Vince is known for hating triple threat matches, and only booking them by necessity.
Yeah.
And then you look at this card being all triple threat. Like this literally must have been his definition of hell.
It definitely was. You could see it was more Triple H booking than it was Vince.
Well, right. But I'm just saying,
but
like,
I agree with you. But I agree. He must have been
anxiety must have been like an all-time high for him.
He must have been doing the XFL fantasy draft. Like that's what he must have been doing there. But this one definitely had a lot of hype behind it, and especially they're planting the seeds. And if you don't see this one coming, Shayna Baszler, Becky Lynch, Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
That match is going to happen. And in fact, I think if Ronda Rousey is not pregnant, because that's why she took time off.
Right. Well, it might
wants
even
to
be
start
Becky
family.
Mania.
I don't think they get Mania. I think if anything, if Ronda's right, if Ronda is coming back.
No, I'm saying Blazer wins the Rumble because there will be a women's Rumble again.
Maybe.
And, with her having the NXT title eventually, because you got to get it off her between now and the Rumble, I highly doubt that she loses it before then. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to just have her do it so then you can book her for the Rumble. So I think that along the way, maybe the takeover before the Rumble, she loses it, enters the match. Because, that will be a great Mania.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that, and like I said, it all depends on what's going on in Rousey's personal life. Like if she's coming back, because if you've been watching Total Divas, which Dog has, and he's been telling me about this,
filling you in.
Yeah, he watches it. Like he is, like I wish he would write a column about it because he actually.
God.
He watches. No, Dog watches.
Listen, I'm not judging him. I'm just saying, like, I couldn't watch it.
Yeah, no, but he watches, and that's what he's saying. Like Ronda was talking about starting a family, so
sure.
Depending on what she wants to do, because if she comes back. The money match is her and Lynch.
Yeah.
The one-on-one this time. Not a third person in this.
Right.
That's what we got to see. But Baszler definitely took advantage of the opportunity. Bayley was there, and I almost feel like she got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, but you had to have somebody get the pin, and they sure as hell weren't going to give it to Becky Lynch.
Yeah, no, and I grant you, but even for her being the new Bayley and just like almost like the shooter role, like she's all business and. I almost felt like she got overshined a bit, and they're just kind of even teasing about it, like in the promos. But I think it actually came true, and I think the timing again, and when this one was off, like I don't know, maybe it's just kind of like oversaturation from wrestling for the past 2 days. But it kind of got to the main event on this one. I was like, it's good, but it's not like the best. But I was so happy with Baszler getting the win, but I absolutely hated Becky had to get the final say. And the shot at the end. I mean,
come on.
I hated that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That
she was excluded from the pinfall. You knew that, they wanted to get Becky over in some way, somehow, so she could close out the night. I was under the pretense by a friend who, George, again, was hinting that there might be why the women were booked to main event was because there's going to be a big surprise.
Yeah, I figured Rousey was coming in, or AJ
Lee, and that's what kept me up, because otherwise I was just going to go to bed and watch it the next morning because I was like, Blazers in the match, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But then watch the whole thing, obviously enjoyed myself, but I was under the pretense that I thought somebody was going to show up, and nobody did. Yeah. And that would have been perfect, because then Becky ones up Blazer, and then that would have been a really good spot for Ronda to come out and defend her girl.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're not going to one-up my friend, and then her end the night with Becky on her back.
Yeah.
Listen, if you, WWE, my phone number, if you want me to book, I'll help. Just give me a call.
You find him on Twitter,
At
folks.
281-330-8004.
Yeah, I mean, at Coach Duffy 11, come at me. I'll help out. Small ideas, little tidbits.
But overall, final thoughts on the weekend.
Great weekend.
All right, I told you I had one. Survivor Series, arguably, probably one of the best main card pay-per-views they've had all year. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was it because the NXT guys were on?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the state of the WWE right now.
I think what the WWE needed
What would
was
the card have been without them on there?
it would have been a very generic card because they just set up the draft that everybody's on their new shows.
Right.
You would have and note how I'm wording this, you would almost have had an AEW situation where you don't have storylines set in and you're just kind of throwing people into matches and hoping it sticks. Mm-hmm. That I think the NXT idea was brilliant, and especially for getting exposure to NXT, so fans that are only knowing about AEW on Wednesday nights or only Raw and SmackDown now know what this brand is capable of.
Right.
So basically, this is one hell of a PR piece.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very interesting thing because you remove those NXT guys and you talk about the best match of the night, Adam Cole and Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
The best moment of the night, Keith Lee dominating the Survivor Series match. Mm-hmm. The coolest, the sneakiest thing, Roderick Strong being able to sneak the pin against AJ Styles and Shinsuke. Mm-hmm. Rhea Ripley looking like a damn star.
Yeah.
Shayna Baszler going over Bayley and Becky.
Mm-hmm.
You take away all those things and you strip that down, and this show is just bleh.
They have to reorganize the entire card.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah. Of course you have to reorganize the whole card, but it's way less of a pay-per-view than this was.
Fully agree on that. You got no argument from me about that. But definitely let us know what you think. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH. What was your thoughts about the WWE's big weekend? Were you a fan and were you not? And why? Definitely interact with us. We want to have that conversation. We're going to take a quick break. Be right back.
2, 3, 4. Hey, this is Johnny Moose from Excite Wrestling, and you're listening to the ODPH. I didn't mess it up. I thought I would. Right now, back to the guys.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH. Pat, what you got for the local minute?
Well, local minute, of course, we are talking Binghamton Devils hockey. Looking at their games from the last week, they won their game up in Utica by the final score of 5-4, getting a little revenge for that egregious game they had that I went to a couple weeks ago. Came back home for a game against the Senators and lost by the final score of 6-3. Had a game again at home on Saturday against the Americans where they lost by the final score of 4-2. Switching to their games upcoming this week, they've got a game on Friday, November 29th against the Senators, game time 7:05. And then they've got a home game again against the Syracuse Crunch this coming Saturday on November 30th, game time 7 o'clock. More information, binghamtondevils.com.
Coach, you got that Binghamton Bulldogs lineup?
Yes, they had a big win over Spa City, which is a conglomerate of teams upstate, by a score of 121-116.
Oh, a little close this week.
Spa City ranked in the top 25 and undefeated going into that game. The Bulldogs are back home Saturday, November 30th, 7:05 against the Oneonta Octane. And the regional standings just came out with the Binghamton Bulldogs currently sitting in first place in the Northeast region because they have more wins by playing more games than the current second place team, Syracuse Stallions, who still remain in first place overall in the ABA standings, with the Binghamton Bulldogs coming in at fifth. The countdown to January is still very much on. Ken, are we ready?
Oh, we're there.
It's close.
We're there.
Right around the corner.
The social media smack talk is picking up lately.
Woo, yeah, it is. You saw just this post right here is a very subtle shot by the quote here of your Binghamton Bulldogs sit in first place in the Northeast region with a record of 6-0. Now, this was edited because it said something earlier that was a little spicy.
I remember seeing that too.
Yeah, because it said something about by playing more games, we're in first place, which was a little dig at the 5-0 Stallions.
Yeah. So it's picking up steam, folks. So if you are into some high drama at the basketball game, you definitely want to get down for that January 11th. Coach and I will be in there by hook or by crook. through an open window if we have to get into if we can't get tickets.
Climb in through the back door. I know that church very well. We'll sneak right in through the back.
Yeah, we'll be in full attendance. We might have to. I don't know. We'll do Facebook Live. We'll see. We'll see.
It might get real ham.
Yeah, we might. Yeah, this is gonna be out of control. So if you're ever gonna get to one Binghamton Bulldogs game this year, this is the one you go to more than the All-Star game. I will go on record.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is going to be an all-star game.
Watch this be the game where there's like a 3-foot blizzard that comes through.
Whatever.
We'll be there with shovels ready.
I will get the sleds and the dogs, and we will mush our way there.
Hashtag have my coffee. We're good.
Somebody call Balto.
Yeah, let's go.
We'll make that happen. Binghamton.
Tennis rack shoes. That's what we'll have. We will make it there.
Oh, take it back old school.
Yep.
We might have to get a big group for this.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, I know we haven't rolled in that deep in a while. We might have to get everybody pad, make plans that night. We'll bring the dog down. We'll bring 3FN down. I don't know.
Get real rowdy.
Yeah, I don't know if we can bring Mike C down. Mike C might get out of control.
Well, we might need Mike C there if things get out of hand.
Yeah, we might need him. We'll have to see.
That'd actually probably be the best. Mike, if you got nothing going on in January, can you please be our bodyguard?
Yes. If not Mike, just have the bail money ready because we're going to need it.
Yes.
Kidding.
Wear Tim's.
Yes. Oh, it's going to be a fun night down at that game. Let me tell you, January 11th, BinghamtonBulldogs.com for more information, and especially find them on Facebook. That's where they're most
That's
active.
where they are.
So let us go round those bases, shall we? Pad, why don't you lead us off?
Sure. Well, if you think I might be talking something baseball because I'm the baseball guy, but hey, things are kind of status quo with the Houston Astros situation. Nothing has developed from there. So I'm going to look at a little college football action because it is quote-unquote rivalry week this coming weekend in college football with some great matchups to look forward to. Of course, you've got Ohio State taking on Michigan,
Snooze fest.
Clemson taking on South Carolina, Georgia Tech, and then of course you've got the Iron Bowl, Alabama going up against Auburn. A lot of good matchups this weekend. Yeah, Notre Dame's playing too.
They play Stanford at 4:30. Thank you very much on the West Coast. Big game for Notre Dame, sitting at 8-2 right now, outside the playoff picture, sitting at 15th with a 3-loss SEC team in front of them. Of course, SEC homers that the committee is.
And I thought you were talking about Army taking on Hawaii.
Hey, what a clash of styles that is.
Yeah, you want to clash of styles.
You want to talk about two teams that don't work well together right there.
Yeah.
Who's booking that?
Well, who knows? But a lot of good matchups, like I said, Florida State, Oklahoma State.
That should be a good one.
Yeah,
I'm
a lot of good games.
The Ohio State-Michigan game, folks, is at 12.
High noon.
Yeah, because that's when the ratings are, is the 12 o'clock game.
Yeah.
Yeah, surprising that
Fox.
Yeah, surprising that's.
Wake up.
Yeah.
That should be at 8 o'clock at night.
That's what I'm saying. That should be 8 o'clock.
I am all for Notre Dame and Stanford playing at 4:30, like whatever. But, I mean, they're not ranked. Stanford's not ranked, having a bad year. But how are you putting on Saturday afternoon this big of a game? That should be prime time TV, baby.
I wish I had a good answer. I got nothing.
I know, because that's what Fox apparently loves, these noon games, because that's when they put their main event games versus the ABC game, which is always, must-watch Saturday Night Football for the most part. I mean, minus that Memphis week, but whatever.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into that. So, that being said, a lot of good college football this weekend, so definitely check that out. Coach, what you got for your base this week?
I know you wanted to bring up the fact that Melo has returned to the NBA in Portland. No. I want to talk about Brooklyn. I want to talk about the fact that their big free agent signing and Kyrie Irving decides to sit out 3 games in a row on this road trip that they're going on.
Egregious.
Ask me who they're playing on this road trip.
Who are they playing, Coach?
They're playing Boston.
Okay.
They're playing Cleveland. And they played the Knicks.
Are they playing Boston in Boston?
They're playing Boston. It's a road trip. They're playing Boston and Boston. Soft like vanilla ice cream. Soft like Enzo Amore soft. You punk. Not able to travel because of a little itty-bitty injury against 3 teams that are supposed to be big games. That's cowardly.
Especially for the drama that he left in the path.
That's what I'm saying. How... You can't put on your big boy pants and go to Boston. You're gonna have to go there inevitably.
No, unless he ducks out, which
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, because I
was playoff time. All of a sudden, he can't play in the playoffs anymore.
I was expecting him to come by for the Knicks at least because the Knicks almost won that game and only lost by 2.
And that was without R.J. Barrett, mind you.
Yeah. So imagine if R.J. was there.
Listen, I took a shot. I should probably apologize. I'm not going to, but I should. I mean, seriously though, how do you, on this 3 games, when you're playing these 3 teams that you've had your name associated to, how do you punk out and not show up? That's just cowardly at best. Honest, whatever.
No.
Like, call me whatever you want. That's cowardly.
No, he should have been there because it just the narrative, perception is reality.
Exactly.
And the fact that he missed out on all the drama he caused in all 3 of those cities.
Right. And he's definitely, I mean, the Boston thing, they would have villainized. I mean, that crowd would have
Boston
gone
game,
nuts.
that Boston game's on ESPN too.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. Listen, this was a calculated move. This was what's the stretch of that schedule? Oh, my shoulder. Oh, that old rotator cuff from high school's starting to act up again. That's exactly what this is. Even KD, for as cupcake as he's been called, still went back to OKC and played in their first game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let's talk about mental fortitude here.
That's why he's not in the Mecca.
That's exactly
And
because he
you
couldn't handle the Mecca.
Exactly. Stay in Brooklyn.
But-
Nobody's paying attention there.
Let's be positive. Melo is playing basketball again. That is tremendous. Portland, good fit, needed a shooter, needed an additional hand, especially with Damian Lillard being out. How he fits for the duration of the season, we'll see. I mean, defensively, let's face it, not Melo strong.
Not there.
Not Melo strong
so
suit.
you're saying they shouldn't start getting his ring size?
No, we should also probably say that there's not enough basketballs because Damian Lillard's at least putting up 20 to 30 shots a night.
Hashtag Dame time.
Yeah, CJ McCollum's at least putting up 15 to 20 shots a night. So these nights of Melo getting 18 to 22, probably not going to be there towards the end of the year.
No, but at least he kind of gets that on his own terms, so to speak.
Sure, and I mean the fact that I tried to really give this like a bipartisan look. You know, Melo honestly doesn't really fit in today's NBA.
No.
And I mean, it pains for me to say it, but you know, when he was with the Knicks in that run, that was still an era where, you know, you were trying to get volume scoring with inside the 3-point line and having guys post up. That's just not today's NBA. Like, you're not trying to do that anymore. It's all, you know, 3-point and beyond, you know, making deep looks, being able to run the perimeter and shoot on the run. And that's just unfortunately not things that Melo was good at, you know, running the floor and all those things. So when you really take like a hard look at it and you understand why he wasn't in it, why he wasn't playing, I should say, like, I kind of get it. Like, yeah, like I love Melo and what he did with the Knicks and everything, but there's a reason why teams weren't signing him.
Yeah.
And it's that reason. It sucks to admit it, but it's the truth.
It is what it is, so you can't say anything more than that. But it's good to see him back
But
for
he's
a little
back.
bit.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this. I really hope that this run ends well.
Yep.
And not in a coach's decision, not dressed type run like it was in Houston, and then an inevitable release. Like that's what I fear. Because if it's something like that, that will be heartbreaking.
It will be, but just the fact he's in there, we got to relish it now while he's there. And like I said, he's putting up some points, so it's not like he's wasting space on the court. So obviously we hope Melo does well out there. If he's not going to be playing in the Mecca, just as long as he doesn't do it to the Knicks, I'm cool with that. So for my base, I got to talk about boxing, because actually there was no UFC this past weekend.
Rare weekend.
Yeah, we're not doing anything UFC-wise until there's a fight night on the December 7th, and then the big pay-per-view, I believe, is the 14th, the 3 title defenses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is...
It's going to be a long night.
Yeah, that's on the 14th. But there was some boxing action going on. Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber himself, came back and knocked out Luis Ortiz in the 7th round after he was losing that fight. And that was an ugly fight, too.
I'll say I like the one comment I saw on the MMA subreddit where I saw the highlight of the end of the fight where somebody said Deontay Wilder won this in the most Deontay Wilder way, losing every round of the match until he knocked the guy out.
Yeah. No, legitimately, that is exactly how you sum up this fight. And to think of how scary his knockout power is, 7th round, just a straight shot, and you saw Ortiz just crumble.
Yeah.
So, obviously...
Literally, like, the way the sweat came off of his opponent. Like, find the highlight and watch for the slow-motion replay where, you know, he knocks him out. It looked like the sweat coming off of him looks like his spirit leaving his body.
Yeah, so obviously this builds for the inevitable rematch with Tyson Fury. And with Anthony Joshua Ruiz coming up, too, that rematch is coming up December 7th. I mean, the luster is gone between Joshua and Wilder, so this Wilder-Fury is the only thing I'm caring about for this heavyweight title fight.
What about Canelo Triple G?
No, because that was already settled twice. Because Triple G is Triple G beat him. I'm sorry. You can come at me on OD Parlay Hour. I'll debate that all day. But Wilder obviously bringing his record up to 42-0 with 1 draw, 1 decision, but 41 knockouts. That's just an insane.
That's filthy.
Yeah, wins by KO, 41. It's an insane stat. So obviously, we'll have to wait and see. The Joshua fight, I have no interest in, but if that happens, Wilder's going to knock him out too, and it's going to be quick. So give me Fury, Wilder all day for right now for boxing. So let's close this out, shall we? It's time to give those locks and leaps for the Thanksgiving week. Now, we know it's a short week because there's 3 games on Thanksgiving, and if you are celebrating Thanksgiving, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving here from the ODPH. But let's give us our locks and leaps. Pat, are you ready to kick us off?
Sure. I'm going to look at my lock is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Oakland Raiders. Oakland looking real terrible these days. Kansas City looking real good. Kansas City favored by 10 points, so I think they're going to be able to pull that one off. Looking at my leap, I'm looking at 2 teams, both 6-5. That is the Tennessee Titans going up against the Indianapolis Colts. Currently, the Colts are favored by 2.5 points, but I think Tennessee, it's a road game. It's a divisional game. They've been looking good the last couple weeks, especially Derrick Henry. That 74 or whatever yard touchdown run was absolutely insane.
Yeah, I took the Titans as my leap too. So I'm just showing Pat because I wrote it down before we all started talking.
Sure. Well, give your lock then too.
All right, so my lock, I'm going with Cleveland.
Ooh.
Okay.
I'm sticking to the guns. Actually, the spread just went up to 2 points as we have been recording. So I'm going with the Browns against Steelers. It's going to be a hard-fought game, and this is going to be a lot of motion. This is going to be the game to watch of the week, so I definitely want to talk about it next week. So I'm going to roll those dice, and I'll even give a spoiler for everybody. Buffalo is going to beat Dallas on Thanksgiving. Unofficial pick. Coach, you ready?
Well, I see a West Coast team traveling east playing at 1 o'clock. Statistically, the numbers are there that they will lose this game and lose it ugly.
Just to remind our listeners, Coach's record on this 1-1.
It's 49ers versus the Ravens. I want to pick it, but nay. I'm going all Thanksgiving Day. I'm going all Turkey Day special here.
Okay.
My lock is going to be the New Orleans Saints going into Atlanta, 7-point favorites. They are going to absolutely put a whooping on the Falcons in a vengeance-seeking game.
I mean, to be fair, I think I said essentially the same thing a couple weeks ago, and that bit me in the butt.
Right, and I understand and agree with that, but this New Orleans team was looking ahead when they played Carolina to this Atlanta game because they know that it is on Thanksgiving Day night, that they are going to be the primetime game. All eyes will be on them. They are going to absolutely make a statement game, New Orleans. And my leap, Ken, you alluded to it with your guarantee here. Nobody circles the wagons.
There we go.
Like the Buffalo Bills. 7-point dogs going into Dallas. That is stupid money.
That is egregious.
Absolutely take Buffalo. Take the points. They will definitely, maybe not win, but they will at least cover. That is for damn sure. This defense is too good.
How mad will Jerry Jones be if he loses to the Patriots and the Bills in the span of 4 days?
Hopefully good enough to fire Jason Garrett so the Giants can hire him. That is what I'm also banking on
That could
now.
That could possibly happen.
I am very okay with it if it is. So I'm going to go Buffalo, whatever you guys say up there. Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
Yeah, let's
Bring
do
the
it.
tables. Bills Mafia, where we at? We're going to get loud on Thanksgiving because I'm actually super excited that we actually are going to have the Bills on Thanksgiving Day.
Just don't break the tables before you eat.
Yes.
Let's get the spread
Yes.
off.
No,
Yes.
that's why I'm eating at 1.
Yeah, don't put anybody through the turkey. Get the turkey to the
Get the
side.
stuffing out of the
Move
way.
the stuffing, the best thing of Thanksgiving.
True
Never
story.
enough of it. Get it to the side, then put the people through the table.
True story.
Get
on
the
that
gravy out of there too, because then it's just going to get
Ooh.
real messy.
Could be hot. Could hurt.
Yeah,
We
that's
don't,
for sure.
we don't need any food injuries. We already have enough going through tables.
Exactly. No, nobody needs the wishbone up there.
Hello.
Ew.
Ew. So on that note, Coach, I'm not reading a cue card. I'm just going to look right at the wall.
Staring at the wall, folks.
The music you heard on this week's episode is that of Shout at the Robots. They are playing Thanksgiving Eve at the Lost Dog Cafe on a big show. So if you're going to be out in the 607, you want to get down to support them. If not, shoutattherobots.bandcamp.com or just go to ochodoroparlayhour.com/music and you can find out about them. Walking Distance, Honker, Fair City Fire, all the great music you hear on the show. You can also go check out #607 Podcast, where you can find out about 3 Fat Nerds, Horror Zone 607, 8122 Productions. Did you know that they are on Patreon and adding more stuff to their Patreon? So whatever subscriber you're at level, the $1 level, or the Chubby Chaser $3 level, they have stuff for you to sign up and enjoy. So you definitely want to check that out. You can also check out Parlay Points, the complimentary blog section to the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast, where this week we might be doing one instead of a second show. It just depends on how Thanksgiving goes this week.
Still staring at the wall.
It's crazy how I'm doing this. And we also want to give a shout out to everybody in Next Wave and on Pod Nation, which if you're wondering what their group is, you can find them on podchaser.com. Type in for the list. You can check out all the great podcasts you see on there. Shout out to True Crime Lab Podcast, too. I know they just subscribed. We just saying shout out to everybody on the Indie Pod circuit. They are putting in some great work, so definitely check that out on podchaser.com. And if you want to find a link to that, OchoDuroParlayHour.com, because that's where we go for everything that is the ODPH. Did I forget anything?
I don't think so.
Happy Thanksgiving?
No, I think I said that earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
I think I snuck it in there.
Pass the stuffing.
Hashtag pass the stuffing. Hashtag
right.
challenge accepted. What up,
Never enough.
What up, 3FN? So on that note, that is all we got for this week. So for your coach, my coach, the coach, Coach Duffy.
Happy Thanksgiving, and make sure there's enough stuffing, period.
For Padawan J.
Happy Thanksgiving, and John Calipari still coaching at Kentucky.
Yes, keep him there. Keep him out of Madison Square Garden. I'm your host, Ken M. Thank you, as always, for listening to the ODPH podcast. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll see you next time.